Howdy, howdy, howdy. How are we doing tonight? I hope the answer is fantastic, Thunderhead. We're doing fucking great. I don't have any music. What are you doing? What are you doing, Pretzel? There we go. There we go. It's quiet. It's quiet, but it's there, which is really the most important feature. Man, I look a little washed out tonight. I need to get a better face cam than the C920. It's a fine little camera, but I keep having to make little tweaks to it. And I'll tell you the most annoying thing about these Logitech cameras, they just, they never save any of my settings. They save none of my settings. I have to readjust the settings literally every time I use them. Boop. Oh, now we got crazy background flicker. I can't drop my exposure that low. Oh, the balance. The balance, maybe just... Ah, there we go. There we go. Not quite so bright, not quite so washed out. Wiley Cliff! Welcome in, man. How you doing? How's life treating you? I caught your follow between streams last time, man. Thank you so much. Welcome to the stream. A little bit of cleanup. I'm going to enjoy my tea, and we're going to get to it. Folks, today I am going to be doing a lot of gluing models to bases, which I realize is not the most exciting thing. It's not the most exciting thing, but it needs to be done. So we're going to spend a little bit of time doing that, and we should be able to go ahead and get our minnows that we started last time finished up. I did a little bit more work on them. They're nearly there. Need a little refinement. I'm still kind of working on how I do these damn crystals. It's just not something I've really done before, though. I'm pretty happy with the method. I just need to practice it. Stoneless B. Howdy, howdy, howdy. How you doing today? Tonight. That's my brain wanting to say today and tonight at the same time, and just sort of splitting the difference and going, "How you doing tonight?" You ever do that? You ever go to say something to somebody and you utter some nonsense phrase that's like almost one thing and not quite another? Yeah, that's how we know we that's how we know we're on the right track, right? Oh, Mr. Square Peg, Data Nerd, Ren, Mo, there's Kursala, there's Desert Al, Datrin, Voltari, GM Kaylee, good to see you, Chewy, Cookie Mama, A, Dodge, how you doing? How you doing, my friend? Trying to finish off the last of the jungle board, just the pipes left. Oh, that's exciting as hell, man. It's good to have you in. Yeah, I've definitely caught some of your work on the Hextech stuff, and it's nice. It's real nice. Which convention is that going to be, Wiley Cliff, out of curiosity? Do you remember the name? Hamburg Tack. Hamburg Tack making his presence known with a pair of gifts up. That's why my music seems so quiet. My headphone volume is just turned way down. It's always something. It's always something, isn't it? Hamburg Tack with the gift subs going out to Happy Heretic and Mr. Square Peg. I couldn't think of two viewers I would rather not have to watch commercials. Welcome in, welcome in, welcome in. Thank you so much for the support. Project Dark Fox hitting that 25-month mark. Lordy Lord. You see my... You can't see it. I'm just gonna slowly... It's a cool t-shirt, right? I don't know why I haven't had this t-shirt before. I don't know. It's like something I've wanted since I was 13. And now I have it. Hell yeah. Cain lives in death. The technology of peace. We've got the rockets. That's always what I hear. Admittedly, in CNC3, yes, I would spam rocket squads like crazy. I confess. I confess to this. And Tiberian Sun, while an amazing game, did not have as many neat little iconic lines. All the units were a bit more generic in Tiberian Sun, even if the overall aesthetic and design was cooler. Oh, wonderful Data Nerd. I'm very excited about that. Go ahead and get my tea ready here. Don't mind me. Just, the Earl Grey with a slice of lemon. The lemon slice is what seals the deal. This is absolutely the way to do it. I was looking up what is the accepted British method of consumption for Earl Grey, and it was saying a little lemon, a little sugar, so I decided to just try some lemon, and that's the business. Do I have oil paint on my fingers that I just licked? No, thank God. Or at least I don't now. Maybe I just licked it off. I got a couple more of those Gamblin metallics in. We were doing a little metallic oil painting before. And that was with just the Gamblin silver, but I've got some ideas for how to play with the Gamblin silver. I also just went ahead and picked up the rest of the line because I like the silver so much. I've got rich gold, I've got pale gold, and I've got copper. And I'm looking here at the pigments. For the rich gold, the pigment is bronze powder. It's also bronze powder. I would imagine just a different concentration of it for the pale gold. So I might send one of these back and just use one, because it seems a little nuts to have two whose primary pigment is bronze powder. But the copper, the pigment is actual copper powder, which is pretty nice. It explains why it has that nice sort of lustrous red to it. We're going to be definitely playing with some more true metallic metals here in the near future. I'm also going to be playing with putting down acrylic true metallic metals and then oil washing over top of it, because I've heard really good things about that. I've heard really, really good things about that, and I figure that's, I realize that I've just been kind of exploring wild and zany paints lately, and I know we get a lot of people in here who are just learning to paint and who kind of look to the stream and to people who post here for ideas and tips on how to use their paints. So I want to make sure that I'm still doing some tricks in acrylic for those of you who don't want to go up to oils. Though I do encourage trying a little bit of oil, even if only in the form of an oil wash. I'll let that steep just a little bit more. That is the business right there. How you doing, Mr. Altier? Good to see you. All I know from CNC is that Steel Eagles rule as Steel Talons, and also, no, they don't. The Steel Talons, I'm sure they're fine if you're one of those namby-pamby GDI sorts, but the Prophet does not appreciate the Steel Talons. Black Hand, I mean, now we're talking. And a very good evening to you as well, to Square. How you doing tonight? Working on pulling together the minis for Blackstone Fortress. There's some good minis in that box. There are some real good minis in that box. I painted a couple of the hero figures from that one and had fun with them. Good poses and well built overall. About to varnish your airbrush work on the Fury Lehman Rust. Mr. Altier, you have some of the coolest themes, man. I'm looking forward to seeing that. Posted a copper to the storm report for tonight. A copper? Like a police officer? Like a constable on patrol? Is that what we're talking about? Why am I holding this hot mug by the part of it that's hot when I have a handle? That's silly. I do silly things sometimes, you guys. Who's excited for Adepticon? Any of you folks in chat actually gonna be there? I know Dr. Rhino's excited for it. We had a nice long chat earlier today. And we are gonna get a channel going on the Discord for making plans for future conventions. Because like I said, I'm gonna be at Adepticon 2023. So we're gonna make sure that we've got some channels for people to coordinate meetings and such. Oh, it's just a little piece of fluff. That was weird. You'll never catch me, copper. Ah, see? I'll punch you into mush. Not going to Adepticon, just too much going on. Yeah, I think that this year, and it's one of the reasons I didn't plan to go this year, because we're right on the cusp of conventions really coming back, and I think almost every convention happening this year is going to be sort of tentative. Everyone's going to be a little bit like kind of looking around like, are people showing up? Is anybody getting sick? You know, et cetera, et cetera. So if everything goes well this year, I think next year is going to be a real hoot, and I plan to be there. I'm sorry to hear that, Noah's Army. Might be there next year. Yeah, that's what I keep hearing. That's what I keep hearing. Gen Con, there's still time before Gen Con, I think. I think, because Gen Con's in what? It's in August, right? So I think a lot of people are going to be looking at how Adepticon goes and then kind of making a decision based on that. Oh, yeah, that makes sense, Desert Owl. That makes sense. What gaming convention is there in Atlanta? I know they do Dragon Con in Atlanta, don't they? But that's like pop culture, costume, etc., etc. I'm just glad if I get a new Darth Vader. So, yeah, Dr. Rhino has very kindly offered to pick me up some of the con-exclusive figures from Privateer Press at Adepticon at the very least. So I'm getting myself the... They released a special version of a model for Warcaster. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking, Data Nerd. I'm like, this Dragon Con, I don't know of any other conventions in Atlanta, but just because I don't know about it doesn't mean it's not happening. I would be surprised if any new conventions are starting up this year. This seems like the riskiest time to try and start a convention in the history of conventions. It's probably hyperbolic, but it seems that way. Dragon Con is a good time, though, to be fair. Just, I don't think I'd bring my minis to it, you know? Southern Fried Gaming Expo. I am not familiar. I'm gonna have to look that up. I've got enough friends in the area that Atlanta's one of the places that I would look for excuses to visit. Like that in San Antonio, Texas. Well, the Comic-Con in Albuquerque has gaming, as does the Steampunk Con in Roswell. That they have gaming and that they're gaming focused are two different things, though. And the way I look at it is, if a convention has gaming, and it's happening locally to me anyway, I might head there with my models. If it has gaming and I'd have to travel to go to it, I probably wouldn't. If it is gaming focused and I have to travel to go to it, then that's going to be more of a pack up and head out for me. I always kind of need, though, I need somebody in the area, because, man, packing models and then checking them, or even trying to carry them on and bringing them with you is so nerve-wracking. About the only way that I can stomach bringing my models across the country, other than driving them myself, is packing and shipping. Packing them quite securely and then shipping them with someone that I trust to someone local, and then having them bring them from the point of delivery to the convention. Thus, the big ones for me. Roswell has a lot of conventions and pop culture stuff, though. I think it kind of started off as like the whole, Roswell Area 51, whatcha-hoozy. And they still obviously have conventions and book signings and crap like that to do with the Area 51. But they've got, since that, they have a lot of conventions for a lot of different things, which I was surprised to find when I drove through there. Only has 4 a year. 4 a year is more than most places have, honestly, for pop culture conventions. And obviously, Roswell conventions generally have a focus on the fact that it's Roswell. When's Headfest? ThunderCon, whatever. It's definitely not Headfest. We're not calling it Headfest. We're kicking that name right out the door. No, unacceptable. ThunderCon, I'm okay with that. This is something that I've been talking about with buddies of mine since I moved to Colorado. Of course, as soon as I moved to Colorado, the pandemic happened, so most of those plans got put on the back burner. But we do want to do a sort of... It wouldn't obviously be like an actual full convention, but having a group of friends out for a week solid of gaming would be something. I'd be into that. Hey, what's up, Sumitha? How you doing? Good to see you. Yeah, no, not Headfest. Absolutely not. Used to live there and we live just down the road. But you probably know more about the conventions that go on there than I do then, because I've driven through a couple of times. I think my perception of it is just colored by the fact that every time I did drive through Roswell, there was always something going on. Maybe it was just timing. Crossbow Roof, welcome in, my friend. If you come up here, send them to us. We got you covered. I appreciate that. I've been actually talking with Alex over at Steel Warrior about our presence in the next year. I know he wants to have a physical presence at a number of conventions up in Canada. And again, we're talking about sponsoring, being one of the sponsors for a pretty major BattleTech event up there. I'd like to come up to some Canadian conventions. I really would. I've been to many of the continents on this planet. I have been to many of the big tourist spots over the years. I've never been to Canada. I've never crossed that border. It's weird. I've been to the northern states plenty. I've never been to Canada. Never been to Alaska either, but you know, that kind of goes without saying, because I'd at least have to fly over Canada to get to Alaska. And since I'm very technically minded, I would have counted that. Oh, yeah. I saw your I didn't have a chance to read it. I'm sorry, Sumathos. I'm a little bit behind. I saw that you messaged me as I was getting ready, and I was like, I'm gonna read that afterwards. Update on whatchamacallit, on Operation Lancaster, eh? It's gonna be exciting when that thing finally is out there among the masses. I'd imagine nerve-wracking for you, but it's gonna go well. It's gonna go well. I could have taken a boat. That's possible. Wait. I am lying. I have technically been to Canada because when I was very, very young, my parents did take a cruise, like on a cruise ship, up along, I want to say, the East Coast. I remember it because everything was all like, was really icy. We went on a number of cruises when I was young. Mostly tropical, and I remember that one because I was like, why is everything so cold? So I guess technically I've been off the coast of Canada. I don't know if that counts. Couch is free, beer in the fridge. That's all I need to know. That's like sold. I used to go to Canada for dinner. Well, I've never lived in the northern states. I have been in the northern states, but I was always there for a reason or to visit somebody. And one of them was because a family member was dying, so I wasn't exactly into tourism on that particular trip. And then the other one was for a friend's wedding, so we pretty much stayed in, well, we went a little bit northern. That was in Philly, and we went up to New Jersey, but we didn't go any higher than that. Holy moly, Shock 21! 19 months, what a day! What a glorious day! It's a magical day. It's a magical day, Shock 21. I was in Canada for a weekend in the 70s because my dad got lost driving from California to New York. Not a euphemism, his sense of direction is actually that bad. I guess the nature of that particular border is such you could just accidentally drive right across it and be like, oh shit, I guess we're in Canada. Oh. Life just had a sea change. I hope for the better, Roland. I hope for the better. I think the tea is a good move. I'm glad that I'm doing this now before the stream instead of coffee. I'm trying to restrict my coffee drinking to just the mornings and drink a lot of tea otherwise. It's just that, man, I need some caffeine, but that major caffeine hit is just a bit much for me. Hey, Twitch sensation Thunderhead Studio, where can the viewers acquire the critically acclaimed Thunderhead Studio coffee mug for themselves? 10 out of 10 would drink from again. You can always hit exclamation point. Wait, do we have... I still have a merch command, don't I? Exclamation point merch will take you to, I think, the actual merch page. Exclamation point Rainy River will take you to the overall site where you can then navigate to the merch. Plus, we give them out periodically. Oh, interesting, Roland. That's still kind of 50-50 for me, though. That could be good. Might not be. You know, sometimes it's bad. Sometimes it's bad to push a friendship into something else, and it can be awkward. But hoping for the best is what I'm gonna go with. Alright, we got work to do, folks. So yeah, as I mentioned in general the other day, I had these 25mm bases are just, they're too small for the usual washers that I use for most of the bases, since a lot of the stuff I play standard is 30mm bases. So I have to use these tiny little 3/4 inch washers to go in the bottom. And when I looked in my drawer, I only had one of them over here where I keep my washers. So I was like, okay, I gotta order some more. So I spent some time online trying to find 3/4 inch washers with a 1/4 inch inner diameter on the center, which aren't terribly difficult to find. But what I'm finding is difficult is I need them to be magnetic, and most of them are stainless steel. Which some stainless steel is ferromagnetic, a lot of it is not, and most of what I found was 304 stainless, which isn't really for the most part. It has like mild magnetic properties. So you end up looking for like anodized zinc, carbon steel, stuff like that. It was a little challenging to find, and I ordered a few different options so I could test them out, and I've been waiting a few days for them to get here. And then I went over and I opened a drawer on this side of my desk, and I found this, because apparently I ordered several hundred a while ago and then forgot that I had them. So, okay. Now I've got literally all these bases with the washers in them, so I can actually start attaching models to them. I've gone back and forth a little bit on these for whether I want to paint the bases first and then attach the models. That's just making more work for myself. Honestly, I'm going to attach the models, I'm going to prime the whole thing, and I'm just going to paint them. And I'm just not going to worry, because I'm thinking, like, what do I get? What do I get from painting the bases first, as I can do more detail on them? I'm just trying to do these fuckers quickly. If I can't reach it with a brush, I'm just going to kind of, and move on. Maybe we'll paint some of these bases individually later, but I'm just going to attach everything to the bases tonight. And we're going to go from there. And we're also going to do a little bit more work on our angel minnows, which these have actually come together pretty well for how simple they were. These were an inspiringly simple paint job. The detail popped out nicely. I'm going to do a little bit of work in the mouths tonight to try and make it look like they're glowing, and I'm probably going to do a little bit of work on the crystals. But starting off, I'm going to glue some models to some bases and then set them aside. Because I have sorted out how many models are in each force, and I think I'm 1 or 2 bases short for the Karists, but that's okay. I've got more printing. Yeah, until I forget about these two. Exactly, Shock. Exactly. And then I'll discover them again at a time of need. I think I'm 1 or 2 short because I had to devote some of the bases to these Cybele mines, which you can put on the field with your Shadow Walkers in Maelstrom's Edge. Where's my focus? There it is. So I glued this down, and then I realized I was like 1 short. I'm like, oh shit, that's right, yeah, I needed extras. So the funny thing, I was just doing list building for Maelstrom's Edge as I sorted out what models I had, and I wanted to know, did I need to get any more to fill out a 120-point force? So I filled out the list for my Karists and for my Epirians, which I'm going to be gluing down today. I figured out how many I need. And then I started building a list for the Artarian Remnant, which are the power suit guys. The model count for both the Epirians and the Karists comes out to about 30 models. For a pretty big force. 30 models is not bad for a war game at all. And then I did the list for the Artarian Remnant. It's 6. It's 6 models. For a whole force. I'm like, oh, well that's easy. We're just gonna paint 6 dudes, and that's the equivalent of an entire army. Sure, why the hell not? I'm gonna open ideas on that one up to you, the audience, because the Artarian Remnant is an interesting faction in that they're Their individual troops are crazy powerful, because they're what are called Lorican champions. They're big, power-suited turbo dudes, and the color schemes are an interesting thing with them, because the way that they're written, they are meant to be like sports stars. Like, their armor is covered in cameras and holographic imaging equipment, and everything that they're doing in a battle is broadcast live back to their home ships, where audiences watch the battle and, like, cheer and bet money on them. And they have, like, faction objectives where the audience back home picks out an enemy and is like, smash that dude's skull! And the first of your guys to get to them and smash their skull gets, like, a command point boost. Which is kind of ridiculous. Alright, let me sort out my squads here. But either way, I want to kind of do them up like sports stars or like race cars, you know, with very, very gaudy and individual paint schemes. So I'm going to need to figure out what I'm going to do there. Let me separate out my Tempest Elites over to here, my Praetorians over here, and then separate out my squads. And then we'll glue them down. I did some paint stripping on these guys to figure out if I wanted to strip the paint before I repaint them, and honestly, it was enough of a pain in the ass and didn't yield that good of results that I'm just going to paint right over my original paint jobs. It's no big deal. Alright, then this guy goes here. 1, 2, 3, 4. This guy goes in this squad. And then I'm missing 2 guys that are on the way. Those are heavy weapons troopers that'll fill out those. And then 1, 2, 3, 4 for my Tempest Elites. And then my Kadar Nova Praetorian squad here. And then 1 Shadow Walker. And this will be the force plus the minnows. Hopefully I don't run out of super glue. I just had to order some more. It's possible, Grim Nation. Yeah, a lot of people aren't going to be streaming over Adepticon because they're, you know, at Adepticon. But I'll be here. I'll be here doing my thing. Y'all are welcome to take refuge on the Thunderhead Studio Life Raft. Need to be done in Power Rangers colors? That's actually not a bad idea. There's only 6 of them to square. I could pull that off. Bahamut, this is a game called Maelstrom's Edge from Spiral Arm Studios. It's a lot of fun. It's actually a really well done game, and they're releasing version 2 of it here in the immediate future. Score up the bottoms of his feet here a little bit. This is what I mean, by the way, when I say to give your plastic a little tooth for glue joints. I usually do a little cross-hatch cut like this. Just real shallow. This is my squad leader for these guys here, and let's put him like so. This is a lot of this stream is going to be this, and I apologize. It's not going to be the most fascinating thing. It's going to be me holding models on bases for a few seconds while glue sets. Yeah, that's definitely an option, Kursala. That's sort of like a contrast method or like a value sketch, which I did a lot of acrylic painting like that about 1.5 years ago, and that went pretty well. They were originally Voltron colored. I mean, you know, same difference. Voltron and Super Sentai have a lot of DNA in common. Alright, and we're off. Don't mind the fact that my palette camera is showing literally nothing right now. It's because I'm not using the palette at the moment, but we will get it set up here in a little bit once I'm done doing this gluing. Here, you can see I'm going to be putting my guys on it. Alright, on to the next one. The Epirian Remnants. Yeah, that's what we're talking about for the color schemes. Like I said, I built 120-point lists, which is what they recommend for the 3 factions that I have. Because I haven't built the Epirian Remnant yet. They're very neat models. And I found out that while I have counts of 30 models for each of the other 2 factions, which is really not bad for a war game. It works with so few models because your models come back from reinforcements. But then I built it for the Epirian Remnant, and it's 6 models. It's ridiculous. The Epirian Remnant are built with the idea of being like the movie Marines, which is what they were called before Primaris became a thing. The idea that Space Marines in Warhammer 40k are incredibly underpowered compared to how they're written in the fluff. So the Epirian Remnant is like, what if they were as powerful as they were written? And it's, you know, one man can rip apart 5 pretty easily. Have I seen it to square? Have I seen it? Yeah, I actually, the terrain that they are going to be using at Adepticon for Steel Rift is mine. There is a set of terrain called Techscape. What did I call it? What is the name of it? I made it and I forgot the name of it. It's something colony. Shit. Anyway, it's going to be released, like the whole set is done and I've been sitting on it for a while. It's going to be releasing through Steel Warrior Studios very, very shortly. Yes, Ash Barker from Guerrilla Miniatures wrote the game, DRD made the minis and is publishing it, and I made the official terrain set that is going to be available through Steel Warrior Studios for it. Which I guess we can just talk about now. I've been kind of sitting on it because they wanted it to be a surprise, but they're going to have a bunch of my terrain at Adepticon this year. That's what they're going to be playing and doing demos on. I can share some renders with you. In fact, I will here in a few. It's a neat colony, and if you're a fan of Aliens, it's also going to seem very familiar, because I was basically like, I want to do Hadley's Hope, but in 6mm and with some of my own flair to it, and yeah, that's what I did. What did I call it? Farpoint Colony. That's the name of the set. And yeah, Steel Warrior has been sitting on it, but it's going to be for sale here in the immediate future. Kind of Desert Owl, yeah. With the Marauder suits. Kind of the same idea. It's not strictly agnostic. It does have its own set of minis that are designed to be customized. Hey, what's up, Gus Schultz? How you doing? Everyone going to Adepticon kind of feel like the kid who didn't get his permission slip signed in grade school. Like I said, Grim Nation, a lot of people right now are kind of on a wait-and-see basis for conventions. I know that's kind of where I'm at with it. But I think a lot of us are going to be at Adepticon next year, those of us who can't make it this year. Pardon my dirty fingernails. I didn't even notice before I went on here. Gross. God. Alright, let that... Why are you wobbling? Why is your heel not sticking down? Give you a little bit more love. If you're having trouble getting super glue to cure, by the way, a little moisture helps. Doesn't need to be much. That's already doing better. Alright, last guy for this squad. This is one of the ones that I stripped the paint off of, and it doesn't really seem to be worthwhile. I'm just gonna paint right over what I got. Yeah, it sets with water. It's one of the reasons that you can seal wounds with it immediately. It reacts with the moisture and your skin and seals very, very well. This is my go-to fix-it when I slash one of my fingers open with my X-Acto blades. In fact, you can see that little dark mark right there. That was a nasty one just the other day. I stabbed myself with the curved blade, bled all over my hand, and then just took some super glue and yeah, like a day later, it's pretty well sealed up. Picked such a weird moment to... There are no normal moments, man, Rofasol. I hate to be the one to tell you this, but there was no good time. Are these going to be oil? Yes, Smack Weasel. Yes, yes, yes. They're going to be done in the same style that I have been doing the Angel Minnows. These were these are the test bed for the scheme and the method. So you can see this is what the bases are going to look like. And I'm just going to be replicating my old acrylic scheme that I started with these guys, which this was the scheme that I originally painted them in. We're going to be replicating this in oil and pushing the contrast much, much higher. Hey, Dr. Rhino, how you doing, man? Can we get a little shouty-outy for the Doctor of Rhinos? Smack Weasel, these bases are going to be available soon. I have done these crystal bases, and then I've got another base set here. So what these are is I custom-made bases for these two forces, like, it must have been like 6 years ago. And I just 3D designed new versions of exactly what I had done for those bases, and I'm going to be making them available. There's going to be the Crystal Badlands, and then Rimworld Colony is the two names of the base sets, and I'm doing them in just about every size you could possibly imagine, both in beveled and lipped, and also as toppers. They're mostly done. I'm going through and processing them right now. That and the new terrain set. I'm going to have a lot of stuff dropping next month. Bases and like 2 full terrain sets for 2 different scales. Daphne has Giardia. Oh no! Well, knowing what it is certainly better than having no idea, but I'm very, very sorry to hear that. What is the treatment look like for Giardia? What is the prognosis? I'm no expert. I'm not even a layman, really. And I'm determined to not worry about my paint schemes on these guys. We're going full tabletop quality. This is a part of my dealing with the Shelf of Shame. We are dealing with the Shelf of Shame this year, folks. We're doing it. I've had these models for way too long. I need to finish them up, and if I'm going to do them, I'm going to do them in oil. We'll probably go ahead and get more than a thread for that, also, Grim Nation Hobbies. We're probably going to go ahead and open up a channel for it. Lots of meds? Well, that's something anyway. What's the problem, Shock? I painted some of them. I didn't finish them. So we're reapproaching the problem, and we're gonna finish it this time. And I think I chose intelligently because this is a relatively low model count game. Oh my god, did you? And I completely missed it. Merlin models. Oh yeah, there it is. I don't want this guy. Oh, I know why. Because I positioned him weirdly, that's why. Let's try that again. The one downfall of my plan is that there's a bunch of gunk on the bottom of their feet, even though I scraped a bunch of it off. So some of them are going to be a little tricky to get to stand flat, as it were. I will get that hydrate in a moment, Merlin. I'm just breathing very heavy on my models, don't mind me. Been a long day. Well, hopefully that day is at an end. Hopefully you can just kick back and relax for a little while. Good to see you, Merlin. I hope that long day was at least productive, at the very least. First time watching the stream, caught your interview with Renegade HPG on YouTube. Lucky Omen, how'd you like it? I had fun doing that one. I mostly just rambled for an extended period of time about Fang of the Sun Dugram, but, you know, that happens when I start talking about that show. Speaking of which, it sounds like maybe here in the immediate future, let's say near future, immediate's too sudden. I might be able to con Dr. Rhino into watching Fang of the Sun Dugram and then talking about it with me. As part of our We Two Dudes podcast we've been doing. Hey, Nico Mata, how you doing? Still gotta watch Dugram. I'm really hoping that there's a re-release of Dugram in the near future on some easily accessed, like, DVDs. It's been seeing a bit of a renaissance in Japan. There's a new manga series for it. There are new models, new designs. You can see I had these guys glued down to dirt bases, so I gotta remove some of the old super glue. There we go. I'm hoping that due to the IP revival in Japan, we see a proper release of the series on, like, I would so buy a special edition Blu-ray of Fang of the Sun Dugram. You hear me? You hear me? Whatever company it is that owns the rights, do it. Make it happen. I know you want my money, and I will give it to you. Flashback to the days when I just glued down dirt to my bases, which is still what a lot of people do, but 3D printing has changed my life. Or at least my hobbies. Which might be my life, it's possible. Picked up my new Elegoo Saturn, got it from a closeout auction site.
There's something about Canopian
Box
cat
was a bit
girls
nice.
that give me that
Nice
warm,
crossbow.
fuzzy feeling. Or maybe it's just my allergies.
3D printing makes a huge difference. 3D printing has completely changed the way that I do this hobby. It's also saved me immense quantities of money, and admittedly also made me some money, but that was unexpected. I didn't set out with that as a goal, but it has paid for itself several times over. You know, I think that's probably true for a lot of people, Grim Nation, and I'm glad to hear it. Because the more accessible this hobby becomes, the better it is for all of us. If there's one thing I think we need in tabletop gaming, it's more competition for game systems like Warhammer 40k, and so much of it is accessibility. And as soon as you're not dependent on what your local game shop is stocking for your tabletop games, like, the world opens up, and more games become very, very playable. Japanese cat demon. If it's a Japanese demon, I probably don't want to know the particulars. It probably, like... I don't know. Japanese demons are weird. Their lore is often upsetting. I like their hopping vampires. This year I intend to, actually, relatively soon, I do intend to get some more Revelations painted too, because since I built my initial Core Republic force, a bunch more models have come out, and I need to slap down some paint on my Union of Stars figures for Revelations as well. But that's a good example of Rick Graham over there, the balls on that guy. Releasing a game in fully 3D printable form, selling STLs, like, that is such an investment in the future. But I really think that is the future of tabletop gaming, is not these juggernauts of production, but rather returning to the cottage industries of the past. At least I hope that's the case. You know, I don't know. If I knew the next big business model, I'd probably be out there trying to be a big businessman. But I don't, so I won't. All I know is that it's going to involve 3D printing somehow. Bought Steel Rift, how is it, Roland? I've had a chance to glance through it a few times. But I'm curious what you think. Homeboy here has a Ripper grenade launcher, which is a neat little bit. I'm going to go ahead and do that magenta glow on it again. Yeah, I saw the drones. I saw the drones. I've browsed the rules for Steel Rift. I like the modular building abilities for the HEVs. I haven't had a chance to see the official release book. Did they get any pictures of my terrain in there, I wonder? They weren't sure if they were going to have time for the initial publishing. Either way, they're going to have it at Adepticon, and I'm excited to get pictures of that. Looks like it's all their stuff. Yeah, that's not surprising. They were doing photography for it before the set was finished. So they've got a lot of it. They've got a lot of it painted, and they're going to be using it, but it didn't make it into the early photography. I am not Merlin Models. Not this year. Next year is the plan. A lot of other people are, though. Oh no, Nikomata, I've outed myself as mildly racist. Confusing Japanese and Chinese folklore. What have I done? Well, the best thing I can do to recover from that is admit that I don't know dick about either. Shame, shame, shame. I know that if there's one thing both Chinese people and Japanese people hate, it's being confused for one another. Probably that and Koreans. I'll bet that irritates all three. Well, we Westerners can be that way. That is fair, Shock. And, you know, in reality, I generally can tell the difference between the three based on their features and the sound of their language. That's one thing I don't confuse. But that's mostly just because I'm, like, really into K-drama these days. You know? But who isn't? That's all the rage. Awesome, Altier. I'm looking forward to seeing it. I haven't quite gone down that road yet. I wouldn't say that I'm into K-pop. I have not descended that far into darkness. I know a lot of people get really into K-pop, though. I mostly watch, like, K-teen dramas, and then I immediately regret it. I get into them for, like, the first 5 episodes, and then I get really pissed off at them, but I have to finish watching them. It's probably a mental illness. I did that with that K-zombie show, We Are All Dead, I think it was called, or All of Us Are Dead. They lured me in, though, because the first 2 episodes were great, and, like, everything after that was just trash. But it was, like, not trashy enough for me to realize it was trash until I was 6 episodes in, but then I had to finish it. And then I did finish it, and now I regret finishing it, and I should have just stopped. Silent Sea, I watched all of that one. I didn't regret that one as much, Noah's Army. I regretted it a little bit, because it got a little stupid at the end. I guess it's just, I don't know that it's unique to Korean dramas, but they definitely have this theme with their monsters, where there'll be a monster, and it's some kind of mutant, or it's some kind of zombie, or, you know, whatever it is. But then there's always the good one. There's always one person for whom this horrible, deadly affliction just gives them superpowers instead. Like, always, there's one character like that. And it, oh my god, I'm so sick of that. I'm so sick of that trope. It was really bad in All of Us Are Dead, because one of the characters is just like, oh, they're half zombie, half human. I don't even know what the fuck that means. It just means they have superpowers, and every now and then one of their eyes looks a little funny. Like, oh, how convenient. Sweet Home was decent, slightly original. What happened in that one? Was that the one in the apartment building where all the weird monsters started showing up? Because I feel like I started that one and then dropped it. Blame Blade, I guess. Hey, Blade did it well, though, Automax. Yeah, it's unfortunate, Nico. I don't know that the zombies were dead in that one. The first 2 episodes were really fun, and they seemed really self-aware, but then by the end of it, it just got dumb. I don't think I finished that one, David Rogers. Maybe I should. Getting into Japanese late 80s city pop. Roland, you're behind the curve on that one, man. I've been rocking Miki Matsubara for the last, like, month. City pop is coming back in, like, the weirdest possible way. This is one of my favorite units. One of my favorite, assault weapon upgrades you can do to Karis Trooper squads. The Rad Wave Emitter. It literally is just, there's a Cybele energy cell, and it converts that to harmful radiation and then blasts it out the end. So this is their version of a flamethrower. But it's just horrific radiation. And I find them quite useful and fun. Okay, fair enough, Tatron. But it was better done. You know, here's the thing. Cliches and tropes are cliches and tropes for a reason. And it's not because they suck. It's because they're compelling ideas. They're ideas that are almost always compelling and interesting to the human mind. But it's when they're done poorly that they become a problem and that people point them out and go, oh, well, this is just such and such. When they're used deftly, when they're used well, they can still be entertaining. In fact, they can be very entertaining. So I'm going to say that All of Us Are Dead is just an example of bad tropes being used very poorly. Any type of flamethrower is fun. It can be. You see why I prefer to not play historicals, why I'm all about the ridiculous sci-fi universes, is because I like to say things like, flamethrowers are fun! And if I'm playing a historical, I immediately feel bad about that. Oh, thank you for the reminder. Dougram remake with City Pop soundtrack? Yes, please. Yes, pretty please. Absolutely. 100%. Sign me up. I'd buy it. Well, flamethrowers are fun. It's what they do that isn't so fun. Is the audio out of sync with the video? Is that a problem we're having, Merlin Models? If it's just you, I would try refresh. You know, I couldn't possibly say, Datron. I could not. I would have to take some time and watch a few things and refresh my memory on some things to really draw a comparison. Alright, yeah, I would just try a refresh then. That'll probably sort it out for you. They cook burgers from a distance, right? Yeah, that's exactly what they do. They cook burgers from a distance while they're still in the cow. I really am glad to be doing this recovery, because these models have just been sitting in a box for the last few years, and I'm excited to play some more Maelstrom's Edge. I liked the first version of the rules, but it had some major weaknesses. One of the big weaknesses that really threw me off was it used to be your model had a mass, and you had to take that mass, and you had to, like, multiply it by its fortitude stat, and then divide it by 2, and that's how many melee attacks you got. And it was like, what that math meant is that most models have 1 attack, and some big models have 2 or 3 attacks, and then they have a reducing number of attacks based on how much damage they take. But that can just be like, you have 3 attacks at full health. If you're at half health, you have 2 attacks. Like, that is a much easier rule. Just tell me how many fucking attacks they get, because mostly the math just means you get 1. They fixed that, and I am eternally grateful. They also removed grenades from the game, which is a relief, because they were implemented poorly. Whataburger. Oh, without any question whatsoever for me, Roland, Whataburger over In-N-Out. That is true, Cookie Mama. The Twitch mobile app is awful. Oh, goddamn. I could go for a sweet and spicy bacon burger and some of their chicken fingers with the jalapeno ranch right now. I would just destroy that shit. The jalapeno ranch is great. I'll tell you the secret at Whataburger. Get their Just-A-Burgers with cheese, and then ask them for the cups of the spicy ranch that you would normally get with the chicken fingers. Take the Just-A-Burger with cheese and dip that shit in the spicy, the jalapeno ranch. This is the magical combination. Used to be a Whataburger on the way to my friendly local game shop, specifically Nightwatch Games, who is occasionally is the word I'm looking for, who was occasionally in chat. And I'd stop off, I'd grab myself one of them sweet and spicy bacon burgers, get myself some chicken fingers, and then I'd sit my fat ass down at one of their big, amazing tables, and I would eat my burger, and then I would play some game. I would play this game. That's the last time I played this game. I got myself a bacon burger, and I went down there with my models. I ate my burger, and I played my Maelstrom's Edge. Man, those were the days. Sounds so attractive, isn't it?
I'd go into the game shop with my burger and I would smear the grease in my beard while people were playing games. I'm so dateable.
Oh, God. Really? Really? In Paris? They have Whataburger in Paris? I had no idea. Yeah, you're not strictly wrong, Shock. It's higher quality fast food than a lot of places, though, and some of their stuff is pretty good. Their chicken fingers are real high quality. And at least in Texas, they tend to do locally sourced stuff, which is nice. So, Dark Traveler, I've been thinking about that, and I was given some pause. I need to sort of reapproach that idea for the swap. It was one thing that was said to me that I realized was absolutely true. If we want to do a model swap, I'm going to have to do something about the fact... The problem is that model swaps in person work because it's like, I give you this model, you give me that model, we both leave, everybody is fine. If we're doing a model swap online, there is a chance that somebody's gonna get scammed. Or that somebody's just not gonna send their half of the trade. And I'm trying to think of ways around that. Just, you know, saying, hey, disclaimer, this could happen. Like, I don't necessarily still want to host that. One of the options, like the worst option is, oh, you could send it to me and then I could send it to people, but that's so much postage and I'm doing a bunch of work and I'm handling boxes and I gotta come up with something. I do like the idea, but I don't want to host something where somebody gets ripped off. And it might not even be on purpose, you know? Sometimes you're supposed to send something in the mail and you just forget for a while and then somebody gets pissed off, communication breaks down, and then suddenly there's bad blood. I want to avoid that as much as I am able. But I do like the idea of the model swap. I just need to figure out the particulars. Tracking info verification, I mean, yeah, but, you know, who sends it first? What happens when you're like, okay, let's exchange tracking info confirming that it was sent, and you give yours and the other person hasn't sent theirs? Like, it's tricky. Potentially tricky. And I don't like to think that anybody in this community would cheat anyone else, but, you know, you can never know until it happens. Couldn't stand White Castle? Oh, man. I do love me some White Castle. Not a fan of Whataburger or In-N-Out. You know, I'm past linking my identity to In-N-Out. Or to, not to In-N-Out, I never did, but to Whataburger. If you don't like Whataburger, that's fine. You know why it's fine? Because that's more for me, baby. Carl's Jr. is pretty okay. I'm very limited in my choices now. My choices locally... I think it's going to change because the town I live in is getting larger, but my choices locally are McDonald's, Taco Bell, Carl's Jr. So the choice is Carl's Jr. You know, it has certainly encouraged me to eat less fast food. That's something. That's a little bit of a positive. All right, we're through our Karis troopers, except the Praetorians. I do need to do those. Go ahead and glue down our Praetorians. Oh god, I based these guys after I glued them to their bases last time. So some of these guys have like dirt encrusted to their feet. There we go. It was like 6 years ago. Give me a break. I don't even know what that is, Grim Nation. I can't agree to it without knowing what it is. I'm sorry. I have a reputation to uphold. A reputation of honesty and fairness when it comes to judging fast food. And it just wouldn't be honest for me to say that it was the best without ever having had one. I feel like my hands are so gross right now. I usually wear gloves. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for my disgusting fingers. Ugh. I think Carl's Jr. is fine for what it is. They do some good chicken sandwiches, which is a lot of what I go there for these days. I'll just cruise in and get a chicken sandwich while I'm in town. Sometimes I use that as a little reward for myself when I'm like, I don't want to go into town to do some chore, some errand. I'm like, well, I'll just get myself a chicken sandwich. And, you know, I have the temperament of like a 4-year-old, so that works on me. I didn't recognize the Sonora dogs, by the way, Roland, but as soon as you said that, I was like, oh yeah, that is a Sonora dog. I had never had one until I went down to Arizona a couple years ago. Yeah, I confess, that's a good way to do a dog. Ew, Thunderhead works with his hands. Oh, he's got skin. How disgusting. Lotta Burger. I have literally never heard of Lotta Burger. I think you're making that up. I heard that depending on the Wawa, you can get some pretty good sandwiches there. I heard Wawa compared to, like, Buc-ee's. And Buc-ee's was a big deal down in Texas. I know that it's in a number of the southern states. Buc-ee's is pretty excellent as far as... Buc-ee's is basically just a really, really fancy truck stop. With amazing bathrooms, which is usually why I would go there. Because you're, like, on the road and you want to just take a shit in peace, you know? You want the booth with the full floor to ceiling and like a fan and a nice lock that's kept clean, like you go to Buc-ee's. And then also, you know, they had like a deli and they make sandwiches, they do their own beef jerky, they got a bunch of candy. It was amazing. Red Robin or the Habit? I don't know what the Habit is, so I'm gonna say Red Robin. Portillo's #1. Again, I haven't been there. I do like Popeye's chicken, though. I confess. I go there for the spicy chicken. God, he is way forward on his base. I didn't realize I put him that far forward. Let's fix it. This is the time to do it before everything sets. I like Five Guys burgers and fries pretty well. I don't like seek them out, but if I'm driving through someplace and they're one of the only options, I will usually prefer them. Before I glue him down, I'm actually going to come in here and I'm going to trim out this transition between his little tabard and his belts. There isn't quite such a clear division there. I'll just make it look better when I paint it. So it looks more like it's tucked in and not just glued on. Let's do him this way around. And that is more reasonably positioned on the base. Go for a Wiener Schnitzel right now. I don't have any Wiener Schnitzels up here that I know of. Local Wawa has these loaded soft pretzel bites with cheesesteak on top. Oh, man. Oh, man. It's not a habit, it's cool, I feel alive. What does that mean? What does that sentence mean? What is that in reference to? What are you talking about, Shock? Scoped out the convention center for Adepticon, and there's, like, no good dining options nearby. I mean, it's like... I feel like Adepticon is all about the event. There's no good dining options there. Oh, okay. Okay. Song lyrics make sense. Not only are there no good dining options, it's also like, march on the Great Lakes! You want to freeze your ass off? That seems like the sort of event where you go inside and you stay inside, you know? Taking a bottle of rum to Wappleville and hanging out. There you go. People watching with Kathy, as it were. For me, honestly, even going to Adepticon next year is much more about meeting some particular people than anything else. Including Wapple. I'm going to be in the same room as Wapple. I'll do the same cleanup on this. I've gotten better at assembling models since I built these guys, so a little cleanup and modification I think will go a long way. Is that a genuine concern, Grim Nation? Why would that be the case? I haven't been following the saga. I'm so not down with the latest painter drama. Always get left out. You see how much I've developed this into a habit? I didn't even think about it. I just realized I was doing it. I'll do this when I'm painting, and this is, honestly, this is a good habit to pick up on. When I talk about taking away shakiness and doing like an A-frame with your elbows, without thinking, as I was gluing this, I just extend my pinky out and I push it against my thumb here, because it just stabilizes my hand so I can work without worrying about anything shaking or moving too much. Because it's not about not getting your hands to shake, it's about getting your hands to shake in exactly the same way so that they're effectively not shaking. Oh my god! Chaotic Harmony. How you doing, man? Well, you're sick. You know what? I'm not even going to apologize for the fact that I'm kind of selfishly glad you're sick. Because we get to have you in chat. Chaotic. My dude. How's things? How's work? It sounds like work is good. Because you've been doing a lot of it. Oh, Grim Nation. Okay. Well, something tells me if they do disqualify him, I don't think he's going to care all that much.
Sexy battle mechs, sexy streamers, and sexy Solaris cheerleaders? Well, Thunderhead Stream has some of those things.
Some.
And more.
And more. See, we always have a little chaotic around these parts. We always have a little chaotic. Is that, who did I see? There's that Cephalopod Studios. How you doing today, man? Good to see you. What was your birthday present? I saw you posted you got something for your birthday, and I never saw what you said it was. And I'm hopelessly curious. This is... So I custom modeled these guys. Like, I made these Cyboglaves out of 2 Cyboglaves into one double-ended one. And then I sculpted this little energy ball at the end, and I did all this just by bending wire into the shape I wanted it to be in, so it looks like it's coming out and gathering at the end. And then for the version 2 rules, they made it so Cyboglaves don't have a shooting profile. So I'm like, he's summoning a force field to block incoming fire. That's what's going on. I'm gonna scrape some of the paint off this wire, because I'm gonna give this fresh coat of metal primer before I paint it. Actually, the primer stuck pretty well. Maybe I'll leave it. Yeah. I'll see during the storm report. Oh, boy. Well, I can hardly wait. Score this up. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking, Daytrend. If he gets, if Wapple gets DQ'd for having a political message to his minis, that's just going to ensure that more people see his minis, which I would guess, based on what he did, that having more people see it is more valuable to him than being entered in the Golden Demon. Like, I'm sure he'd be just fine with that, you know? Fantastic, Amish Stig. Fantastic. Yeah, feel better, Chaotic. Like, the fact that you're hanging out is awesome. I love having you in chat, my friend. I love seeing ya. But if you need to be resting, don't hesitate. Go get you some sleep, my friend. He also did a pretty awesome version of Reptilian Overlord's Zelensky. Yeah, that's the thing, though, Grim Nation, is give him another year. He's not going to have a hard time placing. Not really. Alright, one more Praetorian, and I gotta glue his hand back on. Because I broke it loose a little bit. I didn't have that good a joint on it in the first place. Clear this out and clean that up. Already slept all day. Well, kick back, relax, and enjoy a little Twitch streaming. We're not doing anything too exciting today. We're just kind of working on models and hobby tasks, but we're glad to have you among us. Little plastic cement here. Merlin Models, thank you for the reminder. Oh god, you know what's funny, Chaotic? Like, I didn't say anything, but as soon as I said the phrase, I flashed back to that goddamn stat kill. I'm never gonna forgive you for that. I'll enter the storm report another day, friends. Time for sleep. Merlin, go get you some sleep, man. You said you had a tiring day. Go get some rest, dude. Always glad to see you, but take care of yourself. Taking off a little excess here, and let's get this put on proper like. Oh. There, that's the grip I need. I like this pose I got on this guy. He's like, you, there, I'm gonna put this up your ass. That's what he's saying. I like the Merlin report. Come on. This is definitely the most fascinating stream I've done in months. You like this? Me holding small pieces of plastic together for long periods of time? This is definitely the content that people sub for. I mean, you know, that's a little unfair. I could describe what I normally do as, oh, I'm just slopping paint on little pieces of plastic. It's more than that, but you know what I mean. The only way this could be more riveting is with a rivet gun. God, that's... I feel like that joke could be saved by the delivery Merlin models. You have to make that one of those awkward jokes where you're like, the only way this could be more riveting is with a rivet gun. 50 shades of super glue. Hopefully it doesn't come in that many shades, my god. I'm just gonna hold this until I'm absolutely sure that the bond is held, because it's got, his wrist is a bit of a fulcrum. Oh, a volume 2 for oil painting. Oh my. I'm not opposed to this. You know what I could do? You know what I could do that I think I'm gonna do to take the fragility out of this model? Is see where it's attached right here? What if I tilt it in like that and glue it to his back? That still looks good, right? Like, it's huge, it's way oversized, but I think that's gonna be the move. I think that gluing it to his back is the best way to do this to make sure that the model's actually strong. Let's just smear some glue in there. And then let's just kind of push this. Mash it in. Excuse me, sir. Odorless mineral spirits. Yeah, this is going to be a lot better. Now that wrist is not going to have anywhere near as much pressure put on it, even if you grab it by the glaive. What's the best exercise to work on my thunder buns? I call it the Dr. Rhino. And it involves putting a really stupid look on your face and then just kind of jiggling your ass side to side for 3 to 4 hours while people subscribe to your channel. I learned it watching Twitch. No wonder it takes him forever to paint. He's using mineral oil. Yeah, that would do it, wouldn't it? I'm just going to apply a little extra pressure here to make sure that this sets properly. Using the back of my blade. He knows too much. That one of the blast lances from Star Wars Rebels. So this is not Desert Owl. This is one of the Cybele glaives. But it is functionally very similar. Oh man, Star Wars Rebels. I recently rewatched Star Wars Rebels thinking to myself, like, maybe it's not as good as I remember. No, it's amazing. L Firespray, by the way, thank you so much for the follow. Welcome. Welcome to the stream. Welcome to the Storm Chasers. And hello to you as well. I gotta be careful. I gotta be careful how much shit I talk to Rhino, or I'm not gonna get my fucking Count Morgrave figure from Privateer Press. There, that looks pretty good, right? It's much more stable mechanically than it was originally. I don't know why I thought that wrist was fine. This dude is all cut to pieces because I had to repose all of his limbs to get him this way. I'm actually going to set him down for now. And I'm going to set a base aside to go with him. But I want to let his glue set before I go any further. Alright, how many more do I have? I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 bases. One for him. That's just right. I counted right. That's amazing. What base do we want for the Kadar Nova? Probably one of these, because he has a lot of... He's a lot of bullshit going on. Yeah. Rebels does rock. I think I've said this before on stream. I will say it as many times as people give me the opportunity to. I think Rebels is the best damn Star Wars that there is. I like Rebels, and this might lose me some follows right here, right now. Are you guys ready for it? Are you ready to hear it? Because, I mean, shit's about to get a little crazy.
This is where the fun begins.
Star Wars Rebels is better than the original trilogy. I don't know what to tell you. I like it better. Almost everything in Star Wars Rebels is a retreatment of what they did in the original trilogy. Almost all the characters are deconstructions and examinations of OT characters. And many of them are more interesting. I think that Chopper and AP5 are better versions of R2-D2 and C-3PO. I think that Kanan Jarrus and Ezra Bridger are better versions of Obi-Wan Kenobi and Luke Skywalker. Now, this is in no way to say that I don't like the OT. I'm an OT man. But I think that just as far as raw writing goes, I think Rebels was better. Now, being completely fair, Rebels has the benefit of many, many years of hindsight. Looking back on what worked and what didn't and then reapproaching it is obviously easier than creating something out of nothing. But, you know, let's be fair here, Return of the Jedi kind of sucked. It really did. Hey, Voxel Forge, welcome in. It's true, Daytron. It's true. You know what, Daytron? I'll stand by that. I will absolutely stand by that. I liked Solo. I quite enjoyed Solo. I think Solo is a better damn movie than this is where the subs really roll out. I think that Solo is a better movie than Rogue One. But I don't think Rogue One is a very good movie. I don't think it's a bad movie. It's not very good, though. And it's not what I want. I separate that. I separate it's bad from I don't like it. I think that it has... I think that Rogue One got massacred in editing. I would love to know what Gareth Edwards really had in mind for that movie before they completely recut the ending of it. Because Gareth Edwards is a very, very talented director. Opinions can never be wrong, Chaotic. They can be stupid. They can be misinformed. They can be myopic. They can be many things, but not wrong. Because I don't think they make any claim to correctness. Well, that's a slippery slope of a subject. But, you know, broadly speaking, and specifically talking about artistic endeavors and likes, I'll stand by that. Book Thrawn greater than Rebels Thrawn. Change my mind. I won't, because Book Thrawn is much more in-depth. Rebels Thrawn, they were kind of making it up as they went, and they had more time to explore him later on when they wrote books about him. Still love K2SO. Don't care what your opinion of the movie is, K2... No, I agree, Sumitha. There were many fun characters in Rogue One. Noah's Army, you have a fantastic evening, and thank you. Thank you so much for hanging out tonight. It's always good to see you. Now, okay, are we talking about Book Thrawn as in the new Book Thrawn, or are we talking Book Thrawn as in the old Book Thrawn? Because I think it's important to remember that our new version of Thrawn premiered in Rebels, and then later on, Timothy Zahn was like, "All right, we'll give you a book. We'll rewrite this character." So Rebels Thrawn was mostly an homage character, and then the new books have kind of remade him. Old canon? Oh, well, it's hard to argue with that. Old Thrawn, like Heir to the Empire Thrawn, yeah, that was the shit. what were they called? Yazalamiri? Is that what we talking about, Datron Voltari? I always pictured them like sloths. That's true, I would agree with that, Roland, but that doesn't make the movie. Much of the writing of Return of the Jedi made no goddamn sense at all. And the pacing was a mess. Like, don't get me wrong, like, at this point, what we're doing is saying, I like this thing. This thing is, I like it so much that it's a part of my identity. But that doesn't mean it's without problems. And Return of the Jedi definitely had problems. Again, the pacing was all over the place. And the fact is that like, Princess Leia had nothing to do in Return of the Jedi. She was just kind of in the movie because she had to be in the movie. You can tell she had nothing to do because they made her into a rebel ground troop later on. Like, the whole third act, she's just running around like a basic soldier in a little camo cloak. That's her whole role. The Ewoks dress her up like a princess. Okay. What the fuck does that have to do with anything? Her most important contribution to the film is Darth Vader mentions her, and it really pisses off Luke at an important moment. That's pretty much it. I had this guy's foot wrong. I gotta do it again. Don't like the sequels at all, sadly. Yeah, those movies are kind of a big disappointment. They had a lot of potential. I thought that The Force Awakens... I liked The Force Awakens in a vacuum, and I thought that it could have turned into something great, but it didn't. So, The Force Awakens would have been a good movie had they capitalized on the potential of it, and they just didn't do it. There we go. Now his foot is positioned properly. Seemed like a way to put her more with Solo on screen. Han Solo didn't have anything to do in the movie either. He, again, like, the one cool thing Han Solo does in the whole of Return of the Jedi is he tricks some stormtroopers into running out of their bunker. They're the dumbest stormtroopers in the entirety of the whole series, and he fools them. Okay. They really didn't have anything to do. The movie was about Luke at that point. What game is this from? These are minis from Maelstrom's Edge from Spiral Arm Studios. I'm just gluing them to bases. I'm sorry, I know it's not the most riveting content, but it needs doing, so it's what we're doing. This might be just what I do this stream, and I apologize for that if that's the case. But I need to do it so that I can prime them so that I can then paint them. They pick it back up. I think Star Wars DN series could be amazing with modern tech and all. DN? Star Wars Dingo Nongo? What? Is that a character? I don't know. Oh, well, yeah. No, we babble about Star Wars plenty. Nobody hates Star Wars. Duke Nukem, of course. Yeah, naturally. Star Wars, shake it, baby. A Star Wars main character who tells the villain, I'm gonna rip off your head and shit down your neck. That sounds like a winner to me. This character, by the way, the Kadar Nova leader for the Karist Enclave, so when you're playing Maelstrom's Edge, you pick a secondary objective depending on your faction. The main one for the Epirian Foundation, who are the guys with the robots, is you can have this on the field, and it's like a command uplink drone, and as long as you keep it alive, it scores you points. There's a similar one for the Karist involving a hidden cache, but you can pick another one, where if you have a Kadar Nova, because he has this dark matter reactor on his back, your secondary objective is to detonate his reactor and kill as many of the enemy as you can. It's so dark. You literally get more victory points for destroying more units as he explodes. Like, your mission objective is to blow up your own commander. It's pretty amusing. Fair dues, Cookie Mama, I am. We do some Star Wars Legion L, and in fact, we're going to be giving away a couple of Vaders. I got my little countdown there. We're at 1976. We hit 2K followers. We're going to be having a giveaway of our oil-painted Vaders. This is the first one we did. This is the Commander figure from the Galactic Civil War core set. We're going to be giving him away. I really like how he came out. But we took lessons learned from that, and we're going to be also giving away our operative Vader. We did him a little bit different. We used a lot more cool colors in his armor and his fabric. And we pushed the OSL. Obviously, with it being so close to his head, we had to do some other stuff. I still need to fix this guy up a little bit before he's ready to give away. I need to change one or two little things. But I'm pretty happy with how he came out. And we are going to be, for that stream, when we get to 2K and we do that giveaway, I'm going to be painting, and I think maybe I put him in my closet. We are going to be painting the Star Wars Celebration exclusive limited edition Vader, which I managed to get my hands on. If I win it, then make a video of me putting him in the oven. Dr. Rhino, you can do that. It is gonna hurt my feelings. It is really gonna hurt my feelings. Suicide Prenny, how you doing? Yeah, they are, L. I am very, very lucky in that I tried to get one when Star Wars Celebration was going on. I had friends, I gave them money, and I said, please go get me that Vader. And the way it played out was really messed up. Fantasy Flight Games did not handle it well. At that Star Wars Celebration, Disney was giving out pins with characters, and they're collectible pins, which, because Star Wars and collectible, immediately everybody lost their fucking minds. And the thing was, you had to go to every vendor booth and buy something from that vendor. And then you would get the pin that was associated with that vendor for the day. I think Fantasy Flight Games' was Sabine Wren. And the show, Celebration, opened up to people with, like, press passes before it opened up to the regular, audience. So what happened was, people went to the Fantasy Flight Games booth to get their Sabine Wren Plankwalker, good to see you. They went to the booth to get their pin, and they'd look around at what they're selling, and they'd go, what's the cheapest thing you've got here? And they would look and go, limited edition Vader, it's like $30. That's not bad compared to what some of these vendors are paying. Give me the Darth Vader toy and give me my pin so I can move on. And as a result, most of those Vaders went on eBay. I think it was more of those Vaders than not were bought by people who don't even play the game, and then it went up on eBay. It was ridiculous. By the time regular paying customers, non-press pass people got in, they were all gone. Because FFG didn't have, like, a limit. They didn't save any. It was bullshit. So I didn't get one. Years later, as in, like, last year, after I started streaming, somebody contacted me on social media. Is he gonna go? Yeah, he's gonna go on. Like this. That's gonna look good. And they said, hey, I'm one of those guys. I didn't know what this was at the time. I bought it. I just kind of stuffed it in my closet and didn't think about it again. I don't really play tabletop games, but I still have it. I know that you were talking about wanting one. I'd love to see it in the hands of somebody who's going to paint it. How do you feel about $50? Considering they sold on eBay for like $300 to $500? Yeah, I jumped all over that. I am incredibly lucky to have gotten my hands on one that isn't a recast, it's an original. I got it for $50, and I'm super hype about it. I also have one of the limited edition Luke Skywalkers in his Hoth costume. Like he just crash landed his speeder. That one was just gifted to me by a friend who wanted to see me paint it. No, Dr. Rhino, you can't win that. I'm keeping the exclusive Vader. You can win the other Vaders. The exclusive one is staying with me. You can go to hell. Out of your damn mind. I haven't painted that one yet. We're saving that one. I'm going to paint that one for our 2,000 follower celebration is the plan. The other two Vaders I was doing to kind of work my way up to doing that one to try some new techniques because I hadn't done it with oils yet. I hadn't painted any Vaders with oils yet. So we were learning on these two, and I'm really, really happy with how this one has turned out, and I feel confident enough to approach the limited edition one. It's in your house. Oh, you recast it and gave me the shitty one? Rhino, you monster. This is like how I have Steela's Tiny Stein. Is this a thing now? We streamers are sneaking into each other's homes and stealing our valuables and replacing them with, like, 3D printed fakes. Say 3D printed? That's not even remotely a word. You bribed Gwynny? Oh, she's not hard to bribe, though. You give her some, like, chicken jerky, and she's like, okay, whatever you say, boss. All dogs sound like that, by the way. I learned that from the Goofy movie. How'd you like using oils compared to acrylics? I haven't tried them yet. I'm on a big oil kick right now. I'm really enjoying using them, and I'm enjoying exploring new options with them. I don't think that they will ever completely replace acrylics for me, because acrylics have many, many utilities to them. But I'm doing a lot of oils at the moment, and I probably will be for a little while yet, because I'm really getting a lot of enrichment out of painting in oil. Just like as an artist. Yeah, Dino Man Matt. We're gluing models to bases tonight. It's fascinating stuff. GM Kaylee, thank you so much for hanging out. I hope you had fun. You have a fantastic evening, and thank you for being here. Oh, it's a Star Wars reference. That's what he said in the movie, Dr. Rhino. Wow. That's amazing. How are you so clever? I can't even keep up. Oh, I'm going to paint right over this, too, Dr. Rhino. I'm going to prime and paint right over this paint job. I don't give a shit. Stripping them is not worth the effort. This is one of my paint jobs, too. I did this, like, 5-6 years ago. Hey, my feet, good to see you. Supposed to melt Vader before he goes in the suit. Yeah, that's why he wears the suit. Yeah, good point. I like these Tempest Elites. They got really cool models. They're wearing like big nasty power suits. Well, the truth of that statement depends entirely on whether or not you're in Vegas and how drunk you are, Desert Owl. Actually, no, that's not true. That was always that's always a lesson in disappointment. That reminds me of a story. It's not really much of a story. It's just something that happened. I did wind up one day at a strip club in Vegas because some friends of mine wanted to go there, and we went there in like a little group, and it was weird. It's like, I'd rather be at a fucking casino, but okay, sure, why not? Let's do this. And, I basically wound up paying a stripper for an extended period of time to just talk about, like, movies with me. She just happened to be kind of a film buff. And I was like, here's the money that I would give you to be dancing. Let's just hang out and talk for a little while. She was like, fine, as long as I'm getting paid. I'm not proud of it. But it happened. And somebody that I was with, a friend of mine, he just, like, fucking disappeared to the point that nobody could find him, and we were like, I really hope he hasn't been murdered, but we had to leave for the night. And we well, let's just say they wound up in a champagne room, passed out, and they proceeded to charge their credit card for every single hour that they spent sleeping in there. And this dude was down, like, a few $1,000s the next morning, and we were like, well, the whole thing was your idea, and that was really stupid. Again, I'm not proud of this, but it did happen, and it is kind of funny. And we never saw him again. In retrospect, it could have gone that way. I won't pretend that we had the most responsible reaction. Imagine the BO smell inside of Vader's suit after a long day of killing rebel scum. That was maybe one of the one cool things that they did in Rogue One, was show Vader floating in his little tank. Just to kind of make us think, like, you know, when he's in his suit, he's probably uncomfortable all the time. He would always rather be in the bath tube floating. And he has to be fucking angry when it's like, they make me put on the damn suit. How dare you? See the new rules for movement and firefight? They heavily copied the movement from Legion. A lot of people are now, Dino Man Matt, and I think it's for the best. It's a great movement system. It's a great movement system. And I don't blame them. I pre-ordered a couple of the sets for Firefight. I got the Firefight set for the Veermin, just because it has vehicles that I don't have for my Veermin, and the GCPS. Because I've already got those forces, but it's just a good deal on more models. I'm going to be playing some Firefight. Mantic makes good fucking games. The movement system in Maelstrom's Edge is similar too. You move your squad leader, and then you move everybody else into... You move everybody else into coherence with your squad leader. It's a better way to do movement, instead of measuring model by model, in my opinion. Yeah, Vegas is overrated. The best time I've ever had in Vegas was, a good time. My idea of a good time in Vegas is penny slots and free drinks. And going to shows. I do like the shows in Vegas. I saw Phantom when they had it at not the Bellagio. Where was it? The Mirage? It might have been. No, it wasn't. Obviously, it wasn't the Mirage. The Mirage didn't exist. What am I saying? The Mirage was fucking destroyed well before that. Wasn't the Bellagio. It was one of those ones with a fancy name that tries to be all high class. It was not at the Circus. I can tell you that. Butt Touch Palace. That is that the new? Is that like what they're gonna call the place when the unfinished Trump one when they buy it from him? Butt Touch Palace. These days, the only reason I'm going to Vegas is for LVO. Rhino, I'm genuinely down, dude. We can plan this shit out well ahead of time. I'm into it. Honestly, a drive to Vegas from here isn't bad. It wasn't at Caesars, Data Nerd. There are a couple of the higher class ones that are all connected via walking tunnels now, and it was in that little complex of them. It wasn't the Bellagio. Why can't I think of the name? I don't go there often enough to remember. I like Caesars. Last time I was there was a really good sushi place in the Forum at Caesars, but they change that pretty regularly. If I'm going to Vegas, I'm going to go to Zach Bagans' Haunted Museum. I want to go there so much. I want to give Zach Bagans money. I want to see that stupid little fortune teller he got made up with, his face on it. POV 42, good to see it. We're gluing minis to bases so we can prime and repaint them. It's nothing exciting. These are all the bases that I've been designing and 3D printing over the last week. And they're Maelstrom's Edge models. You can see him doing like a Crystal Badlands thing here. I know, but you're saying to yourself, that model's already painted. Yeah, I know. I'm repainting it right over the old paint job because I'm a fucking savage. I'm saving these from the closet of shame. I've had these models for like 6 years and I never finished painting a full force, which is shameful. But they're releasing a version 2 of the rules and I want to play it, so we're doing the armies. The nice thing is in Maelstrom's Edge, a full-size army is model count around 30 for most factions, which is not bad. Unless you're playing the Broken, then it comes out to like 40 or so. Or if you're playing the Artarian Remnant, then it comes out to 6. I'm removing basing work entirely from the flow. I do all my basing in the digital space, and then I print these shits en masse. And the thing I like the most about 3D printed bases is I can make these voids in the bottom to put metal washers, which both weight the bases down, thus lowering the center of gravity for the model, and also making them magnetic. Yeah, me too, POV. Honestly, like, any more than that, and I'm like, where am I gonna store this, you know? I'm gonna go a little bit over that for Firefight, but, you know, I've kind of already done that, so. Whatever. Homesick and painting a full armored rifle company for Adepticon Arc Rave? Hell yeah, dude. How's the progress? These are the Shadow Walkers, these dudes with their little blades. They can scout in, stealth, and drop minefields, which are actually really effective. A Suicide Printing, I'm going to have them available. I'm doing this base set and the base set I'm about to start gluing to. I'm going to be releasing as... Here's the thing. We're in talks right now. We're actually getting some things done with a resin caster who's working in CyoRes. So there's a chance I'll be able to make my bases available in CyoRes. And if that happens, I'm going to be really excited about it. But... this base set, and I'm doing them in, let me see, what's the full range of sizes that I've done? I've done 25mm, beveled, 32mm beveled, 40mm beveled, 50mm beveled, 55mm beveled, 60, 65, 70, and 80mm all beveled, and then I've done 30mm round lipped, 40mm lipped, 50mm lipped, 80mm lipped. I think that's it. I think that's the full range that I'm doing in these styles. But I'm hoping to make the files available end of the month or early next month is the goal. I think they look pretty good. And I'm being very careful to make sure that I'm leaving space for models to actually go on these bases while giving you something to paint. They're also being done in hexes, Data Nerd. All of these styles are also done in hexes. In fact, the other one, the Rimworld Colony, I've already got the hex bases done. That's these ones. I gotta do the Crystal Badlands version. Thing is, for hexes, I shrink them down. I lower the scale. So not this year, L, but I'm gonna be there next year. I hope you have fun. You can see some of my work there if you go find the Death Ray Designs booth. They're going to be playing a game called Steel Rift, and they're going to be playing it on terrain that I designed. Alright, this guy's had a chance to set, so let's get him glued down, shall we? Thank you, L. Thank you very much. I've got like 5 or 6 different base sets. Now, I also did, I did a bunch of the, for Warcaster specifically. They're done in a very Warcaster-esque aesthetic. But like these are 30mm round lipped. I did these for my Warcaster figures for the Iron Star Alliance. This is one of, I think, 8 variants for the 30mm. I'm pretty happy with this set. These are the ones I did for the Marcher Worlds. It's a little bit more of a natural setting with this kind of rock texture. And then I have some that I did for the Eternus Continuum, which are all this more kind of future industrial look. You're a natural setting. And they got the same. I love putting these voids in here, because really, like, you haven't lived until you've filled your bases with steel. This is the way to go. That extra bit of weight lowering the center of gravity of a model. You get them done in CyoRes, can we stock them too? I'm sure we could arrange something. I'm hoping we'll be able to. He's planning to do my Conquest bases in ScioRes so far, and we're going to see how those do before we move on to anything else. But what I hope to have available are my base sets in general in ScioRes, and then the D-Scene battle mech designs in ScioRes. That's the goal right now. It's going to take a little bit of time, but we're working on it. Progress is that the only reason I'll be able to complete it before I leave is my strep throat. Oh! Well, that's something anyway, Arcrave. If you're curious about my work, L, it's real easy to check out more of it. If you pop down there to my link tree, I've got links to just about everything. And I think if you hit ! Steel Warrior, it will get you a link in chat over to all my stuff available from Steel Warrior Studios. I've made a lot of stuff in the last year and a half or so. It's all like stuff that I wanted at the time, so it can be a little bit random, and most of it's Battletech related. No, she knew better than to argue with you, eh, Dr. Rhino?
Everything is in color, and I can feel the air. I can see it. I can see all the molecules.
Thunderhead Wax. Well, we could definitely market that. Liking that funky, easy listening there. I've got a bunch more stuff coming soon here, El. I've got some products I've been sitting on for a little while and planning to release. We try to make as many of them available in physicals as we can. Hey, Sphere, good to see you. Dwegham, welcome in. I like this guy. I'm looking forward to painting this guy fully and finally. I'm going to do some neat blending effects and like electro effects on his blades. Is that it? That's all for the Karists. That is everything based for the Karists, including the minnows, which we've already done, and this one little Cybelmine base, which is just a marker that you put out when you drop your minefield from the Shadow Walker. Alright, let me move these guys, and I gotta glue down my Epirians. We got more to do. I've managed to take forever to do it, but it needs doing. It needs doing, folks. Let me move these guys off to the side. And I'm probably going to sit down with an airbrush late tonight and give these guys a prime job getting them ready for the oils. I do need 2 more bases, I just remembered. I am technically too short, because I have 2 models I need to add to this that I need to build. So I need to do 1 more run of my... Actually, I need to do more than that, because I'm going to use these same crystal bases for my Space Dwarves for Dead Zone. That or my Rat Folk, one of the 2. Alright, there's them. Let's do these boys now. I do too. I think that all the designs for Maelstrom's Edge are really pretty fucking cool. It's a good game too. They don't have as good of models as, say, Games Workshop, but nobody does. Nobody does. They're good multi-pose figures you can do in a lot of different poses, though. I ended up choosing this as my Hunter War Mech, with the mag-lock chain gun on one arm, the dual machine guns, and a little strike missile launcher on his left. Conquest does. Oh, it absolutely does. A number of these guys I'm gluing down today have no heads, and that's because I'm waiting on replacement heads for them right now. All of them will have the same heads that you can see on this gentleman here, which is to say the little sort of cap with goggles, which I like for the contractor engineers. Going Marauders and Plague, found my old Dead Zone stuff for them, and we'll repaint them. Yeah, I got one of the new Firefight sets, and I'm going to be adding a lot to that. But I'm a Veer Min player. I'm a big-time Veer Min player. I love my space rats. They're fucking hilarious. Not gonna strip them, just prime over? Yeah, Dweghom. I stripped a couple of them. It's more work than it's worth for models that I'm not planning to spend that much time painting, so I'm just gonna paint right over it. That's just fucking just whatever. We're gonna deal with it. These are the fireflies, and this is the 3D printed body that I made for it, and you can see these are the bases they're going on. This base set is called Rimworld Colony. I like these units. They're agriculture drones that they rigged with lasers, and then they replace the chemical sprayers with napalm droppers. These guys are already based, though, so I'm going to put them over here. We'll need 5 fireflies for this basic army. Alright, now let's sort out the rest. Journeyman Bot Handler is my commander for this force. Is that body available anywhere? The one that I 3D printed? It's the same as, you can see it here. If you look, these are the spider drones, which are really your main infantry if you're playing mostly robots for the Epirians. But you see the light gray one on the right? That's the one that I designed and 3D printed. And I did that because when you buy these drones, you get a sprue that has one body and then all the parts you need to make it into either a firefly or a spider. So if you add one more body, you get one more firefly or one more spider. So I just wanted to make maximum use of the bits that I had. I'll make them available. Yeah, if you'd like this drone torso, I can put it up for free. I like these spider bots. They're neat. L Fire Spray, thank you so much for the subscription. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for the support. And here, I'll give you a look at these bases. These are just the 25mm ones. Again, I have these going all the way up to 80mm. This is the Rimworld Colony set is what I ultimately wound up calling it. I'm going to be using these both for my Epirian Foundation, for Maelstrom's Edge, and these are also going to be the bases I use for GCPS for Firefight, is my plan. And maybe even more, I don't know. Penis Land Warrior. Every time. He just wants to make me say the name. Thank you for the sub, man. 23 months. My god, where does the time go? How you doing, dude? It's good to see you. Let me finish sorting these guys out. So one bot handler goes with each group of fireflies. Or not fireflies, sorry, of spiders. And then we have the suppressor squad, who are these screaming gentlemen with nightsticks, whose primary job is putting down, like, worker revolts. What nice folk they are. And they come with a robot that has both a flamethrower and a chem sprayer, because that seems nice for riot control, right? They're going to be available soon. If you like these bases, I'm making them available soon, and again, they're coming in a huge number of sizes. These are the one oddball size, and it's because the maniacs who made Maelstrom's Edge decided to use 36mm bases, so there is 36mm, which you're not going to use for any other game system, but they're available. Alright, and there's the Journeyman Bot Handler. Each squad is going to be squad leader, and then man with rifle, man with rifle, man with grenade launcher. Squad leader, man with rifle, man with rifle, man with grenade launcher. Okay, perfect. And then I've got more spider drones. I've got a Scarecrow Sniper, which I like this model. It's a multi-part kit you can build in a variety of ways, the Scarecrow. And this model can be a number of things in your force. There are Scarecrow Snipers, which is what this guy is. He's just a solo sniper unit that you can run. There, you can use the Scarecrow to make what they call a subjugator. And this is an attachment for your suppressor squads. Or you can actually run a Scarecrow as a commander. They don't cost much and they're not great, but if you're running an all-bot force, they can actually be really effective. If you want to put more points into just more robots, you know? The Journeyman Bot Handler, which is this guy, costs a little bit more, but he has more battlefield abilities, too. Yeah, the color scheme has been completely rethought for these guys. We're doing something very different on the repaint. Alright, so that's everybody. Let's go ahead and start gluing them down, shall we? Start with our bot handlers. So, you might note I am cutting towards myself, which is a terrible idea, but I want to show you what I'm doing. Many of you have probably used X-Acto blades quite a lot. I don't know if this tip is going to help anybody, but one of the ways you can avoid doing the, oh my god, I cut myself when you push and it gives, is when you're cutting something like this, you'll notice what I'm actually doing is I'm pushing the blade this direction. And because the blade is angled, that continues to move the blade left as you go. So I'm applying pressure and I'm pushing forward and drawing across very gently. And what that means is if I suddenly lose resistance here, I don't jam the blade over into my finger. If anything, the blade slides this way. I don't recommend doing what I'm doing right now, cutting towards yourself and not wearing protection, but I'm doing it anyway, and you can't stop me. And if I'm going to, I might as well show you the little bit of safety that I do apply while I get it done. It gives you that nice slicing motion and really utilizes the sharp edge of the blade and not just pressure. Good thing I don't have a helicopter in this force. What? What you talking about, buddy? I'm missing a joke. I don't like missing jokes. I need to clean up a little bit of flash on him, too. Because you're bald, I assume. I mean, maybe, sure. This is as good an explanation for that comment as any I can think of. Maybe he's just super duper high on cold medicine. That's possible. It's a Kobe joke. Is that a sports reference? I don't get sports references. Oh, yeah, there was a helicopter. Oh, it all just hit me. That's terrible. Boo. Boo this man. Chaotic, you just fucking... I don't even know. I don't even know what to do with you.
Take a seat, young Skywalker.
That bot handler, and he goes with these 4 spiders. I need to glue down another 4 spiders, so let's go ahead and do that. These are the larger 36mm. I had one kind of misprint. You can see the corner got cut off because I put it too close to the edge of the print plate, but I'm just going to use it anyway. Who gives a shit? But these are, you can see it's just a larger chunk of the environment as you go up in base size. How much to design that XCOM game we were messing around about. I feel like the game already exists, Dwegham, because the rules in XCOM that the computer plays out would make a perfectly functional set of tabletop rules with a little bit of effort. You just have to figure out precisely what the math is and work dice into it somehow. There is a board game, but we're talking about a mini game, which would be functionally different. Back 40 Gamer dropping that Prime sub. Thank you so much for your support and your patronage. How are you doing today? Welcome in, welcome in. These guys have to hold a little bit extra, usually. I'll the lower legs just to get them to stick, because they want to stand on a perfectly flat surface, but I'm not giving them one. Nod versus GDI at 2500. I maintain that Maelstrom's Edge would be the perfect system to go ahead and just use minis for Nod and GDI. Fuck the Scrin. No, get out of here, Dr. Rhino. We're not doing Scrin. We're doing Nod and GDI. What's wrong with you? Scrin. Pfft, get that EA crap out of here. Scrin are not only not all, Scrin are barely developed at all. Scrin are kind of nothing. Kane does live. That much is true. You have the Brotherhood of Nod logo on your foot? Why? What? You have a tattoo of the Brotherhood of Nod logo on your foot? I'm rocking the t-shirt today. Oh, okay. It is a tat. You didn't just drop a printed out copy and it happened to land on your foot or something like that. That would be strange. The old logo without the spikes on the ends. Yeah, the sort of, what's it, beveled triangle. I like the little spurs on the edges of the triangle. I think that was one of the good changes they made in CNC3. That doesn't even make sense, Shock 21. T-shirts are definitely way more commitment than tattoos. It's a fat Nike swoosh. Kane went corporate. Aw, that bastard. Kane lives in relative luxury. Kane lives swimming in expendable income. Damn it, foot. You just don't want to stay down. I don't think I glued you properly. Tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to put you over here, and I'm going to lean something against you so that you're held down until the glue is able to set. That's what I'm going to do. There you go, buddy. Let's do another one. These spiders have, you can see they have a different weapon system on the front of them. These are the frag cannon spiders. These ones want to get up close. They're rocking like shotguns. I was very close to getting a Brotherhood of Nod tattoo when I was out in California when I was in Army. And I ended up not doing it. There was a person out there at the time. I had a bunch of tattoos I wanted to get, and I talked about them. And I was looking for a good tattoo artist. And there was this person who basically they went out and got several of the tattoos that I wanted to get before I could get them. That's what happened. And it was super fucking lame. And it kind of turned me off getting them. I think understandably so. Though in retrospect, looking back on it, I think that they wound up losing on that one because my skin is pristine. And they have like a shitty old Warhammer 40k tattoo on their back now. Oh, I got Dr. Rhino skin in my DMs. Go ahead and slide on into them DMs, Rhino. Oh, Chaotic, you're onto something, man. A little moisture in there. You know, that sort of saved me a few times, Datron. I decide, like, I want to get this as a tattoo. That's a super cool idea. And then I just, like, I'm too lazy to actually go get it done. And then a year goes by, and I look back on it, and I'm like, wow, I'm glad I didn't do that, because I've changed my mind. When I was in, my idea was I wanted to get, like, on the inside of my forearm here, I was going to do, like, GDI, Galactic Empire. I would so regret that now if I had done it. And bear in mind when I say that, I'm not saying tattoos are universally a bad idea. I'm not saying you shouldn't get them. What I'm saying is I personally would have regretted it because I don't think I want them that much. I've seen some fucking badass sleeves, though. Like, if you want it, you want it, and far be it from me to stand in your way. Yes, yes, Dr. Rhino. Please do, because, yeah, we got distracted talking about, like, Attack on Titan. And then you started telling me about your music video idea. And I want to hear the rest. Damn it. If you can get one of those feet properly. There's one little glob here. There's going to be a gap, so I'm kind of using the super glue to fill that gap. Is it the best way to use super glue? No, but with 4 points of contact, it'll be fine. I think it's overpriced, Gear Falcon, but I keep buying it anyway, so, you know, I can only complain so much. It is a high-quality super glue. And the bottle is actually a really nice way to apply it. You can break the bottle open and usually get a little bit more out just by squeezing the tube afterwards, too. How you doing, Gear Falcon? It's good to see you. Design some tiny claps to use for these things you know you want to. Tiny claps? Tiny clips? Oh, Dwegham, don't give me any ideas. Some tiny green stuff might help. Paint it to be some mud stuff. The glue will be fine. Give it a little bit of that moisture. This is quality content right here. Oh, God. What am I doing with my life? This should have set reasonably by now. If it hasn't set by now, it's not going to. And it didn't. It's okay, I have a fix anyway. There, that's fine. Let's come back to this gent for a second and just give him a little bit more glue. This is not the prettiest glue job I've ever done in my life, but I'm just swinging the cyanoacrylate like it's a fucking beat stick here. Alright, put some more glue down, and then we're gonna weigh it down with this pair of pliers. Alright, let's do the last one. We're going full Unga Bunga here, and Unga Bunga ain't got no room for no fancy schmancy green stuff. We're just putting big globs of super glue down like these are the first models we've ever built. Oh no, two people had the same idea and it's a terrible one that I hate. Oh god. Oh, what have I done? How did I not queue up What Have I Done? Of all the Star Wars clips I could have queued up, instead I've got this.
No. No. No.
Which pretty much gets the sentiment across, I feel like. Oh, this one stuck down really nice. Okay, cool. Alright, that's all the spiders I need. Now let's do some infantry. You are second apprentice bot handler. Riot's sister.
Hello there.
How you doing, Riot sister? It's good to see you. And you know what? Just for you, Voxel Forge, since I'm pushing buttons, you get one of these.
Do it.
It is a bit much, isn't it? It's like a 90s arcade cabinet theme. I like these bot handler bros with their little control mechanisms and then just big fucking space revolvers in their other hand. No, it helps remembering to adjust the line widths when changing nozzle widths. That's not... a mistake? No, that's a perfectly reasonable mistake to make. I'm not even going to tell you the horrible mistakes I've made with 3D printing lately. Thunderhead lies from... Oh, wait, I remember that. Damn it. You're never going to let my lapse in ethical constancy go, are you? Change the do it to where he's holding a Mountain Dew. I want sponsorship bucks if I'm going to do that. Let's glue down my suppressor team, because they're my favorite models. These are the guys, these are heads from Puppets War from like 6 years ago. You might recognize the heads, the style of them, if you're a fan of either Sylvester Stallone movies or of Carl Urban movies. I think they're appropriate for suppressors, since these guys are meant to put down riots. Oh, I was like, I just put super glue in his feet and I dropped him. And I'm like, oh no, super glue's gonna be somewhere. But thankfully he didn't land on his feet. I can't explain the clips. They just happen. I am the law. It's amazing to me that he could deliver that line so poorly and so over the top, and then, like, many years later, we get Carl Urban with his, Mama's not the law. I am the law. And it's just, like, so much better delivered. Might get a reference check. Wait, what happened? Have an interview in the Oh, you're using me as a reference? Oh, that was a mistake. Oh, no. Oh, God. I'm the worst. I'm the worst reference. It's going to be terrible. I'm not saying on purpose. I'm not going to sabotage you. I'm just, a moron. So, it's... Ugh. I appreciate your confidence in my ability to talk you up, though. I will, I'll tell you what I'll do. I won't ignore literally every call from a number that I don't recognize. I'll do that just for you, Riot Sister. How about that? Because otherwise, if I don't know your number, I pretty much don't answer. Good evening to you, Bulldozer. How you doing tonight? They're both good. That is a controversial opinion, Dino Man. I don't disagree with you. I actually like 1995's Judge Dredd for a number of reasons. Weirdly, a big one of those reasons is Rob Schneider. I actually thought he was pretty funny in that movie. But then I think a lot of people who criticize that movie don't realize that Judge Dredd is part of what is essentially a dark comedy comic book. Have I been gluing minis to bases for like 2.5 hours? This is ridiculous. How has it taken me this long? Does it normally take me this long? Do I just not time myself most of the time? That might be possible. Trying to find a good way for him to go on here. I'm thinking like this. Gluing and chatting. You know, I can think of way worse ways to spend my Tuesday night, folks. It was, I don't think it was Prada, Lucky Omen. I want to say it was Versace. It might have been someone, I don't know designers all that well, but it was designed by a very particular fashion designer at the time. And it was awful. They took the X off of his visor. Armani. Thank you, Riot Sister. They took the X off of his visor, and they gave him a giant golden codpiece. The shoulders were good. Oh, you have no idea? Oh shit, okay, maybe it was Versace. One of them Italian ones. One of those Italian people. Oh god, I'm gonna get dinged for racism again. But they gave him a big golden codpiece and they took the X off of his helmet and it was just regrettable costume design. The shoulders looked good. I like the shoulders. But they also replaced all the leather with like spandex and lycra, which that was not good. That was a terrible idea. I'm actually not quite going to finish these guys tonight because I still have 8 to go, but whatever. Needs doing. Ain't no time like the present. This one is yelling. He yells as he swings his stick. According to the internet, it was Versace? Okay. Some lingering memory inside of me got that right. That's something. Okay, we can shout out Chaotic as many times as we want. We can shout out Chaotic just all stream. We'll have a stream that's just like, oops, all shoutouts for Chaotic Harmony. You know, I'd be okay with that. I just want to get the Suppressor Squad done. Only got 2 left. We can do that. Shit, we can get more than that done. Yeah, that was one of the things that movie did right, in my opinion. The ABC Warrior was pretty excellent. I was very into the ABC Warrior prop that they made. Yeah, it was bad, Riot Sister. It was very tasteless. Yelling is scientifically proven to increase stamina and force Chaotic Harmony. Ask any female tennis player or their husbands. It's a joke about having sex. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why anyone follows this channel either. I know that's what you're wondering. I don't have an answer. Used to have a fun Judge Dredd board game, really played up the dark comedy. Judge Dredd is almost entirely comedic. Like, 2000 AD is a dark comedy comic book. Everything in Judge Dredd is a fucking joke, and it's a very similar source and group of people, a group of writers for that matter, as the original writers for Warhammer 40k. That whole era of British fiction had that same dark comedy theme to it. It's in taking the comedy away that I feel like they lose something. I say that, I'm also a big fan of Carl Urban's Judge Dredd, which it still had the dark comedy to it. It was a little concealed, but it was there. If anything, 95's Judge Dredd took itself too seriously. It took everything really, really seriously, and then it had Rob Schneider, so it was like tonally very inconsistent. It might be slightly late, Desert Owl. I'll try to make it mostly on time for you, though. Yeah, can't execute a perp on 99%. Save me a lot of paperwork if you just confessed right now. Or the, yeah, I heard you, hotshot. The very existence of the fatties with belly wheels is in and of itself a joke. I know I've told you guys about the original opening scene for the Carl Urban Judge Dredd, right? The much, much darker one, which they actually shot and they ended up not using. I got to talk to Carl Urban about this when I met him. Hey, pun expected. What's up, painting poopies? I know that's not what you said, but I'm gonna roll with that. How you doing? How you doing, painting poopies? Well, a number of you have already heard it, and fair warning, it is dark and it involves a child being shot. So if you have a problem with me like mentioning that or talking about it in the context of a fictional story, this is fair warning. In the theatrical cut of Dredd with Carl Urban, there is a scene in the beginning where he is chasing perps in a van on his Lawmaster, and he opens up with machine guns on the front of it, and he hits their tires, and they roll and they hit a barricade. And then they jump out of one of the guys jumps out of the van and he runs into a nearby mall and he takes a hostage. Dredd goes in and executes him. It's pretty dark as it is. In the original cut of that scene, which again, they filmed this. The original cut of that scene, it stayed in the courtyard. He didn't go into the shopping center. The perp gets out and he takes off running across the courtyard. And he's like ducking between people. There's a bunch of people outside. And Dredd gets off his bike and stops and looks, and he sees the guy running, and he draws his lawgiver, and he aims, and he's looking kind of for an opening to shoot the guy, and then finally he pulls the trigger and just shoots right through a kid. Just like 3 rounds right through them and hits the guy and kills him. This is not for no reason. This is to illustrate a point of, you know, what the judges are, where their priorities lie. And it was meant to be quite dark and to tell you something about who Dredd is. But they, I think, quite wisely decided that that was a little too dark for American audiences who might not get what they were going for. Like, that is a hell of a way to introduce somebody to a character. That's going to get a lot of bad reactions. Essentially, it is. They shot the scene. There are screen caps from the scene that they shot, and yeah, I got to talk about that a little bit with Carl Urban, and he was of the opinion too. He was like, yeah, that was pretty dark. Frank Miller thinks that's over the top. Yikes. But again, it's making a point. You're not supposed to watch that movie and think, yeah, Judge Dredd's a great guy. He's not. Judge Dredd is a monster. Oh, yeah, Dwegham. It is a particularly dark take on Dredd, but yeah, he would do that sort of thing. He's killed plenty of relatively innocent people in horrifying ways. He's also the kind of guy to save a man's life when he throws himself off a building just so he can arrest him for attempted littering, so... He has viciously murdered people in the streets for smuggling sugar into Mega City 1 because sugar is bad for you. He's not a monster. He's the law. Yeah, exactly, Cat of Carmody. People would not like that so much. Wait, what are you talking about, Desert Owl? Because the Dredd that they released is very much R-rated. You're right, it's illegal. And judges get to just kill you if you do illegal things, including smuggling sugar. Ultimately, it was that he was not willing to let a perp get away, even if it meant killing a random bystander. That was the message of the scene. That the lives of bystanders were less important, or simply that he made the call that it would endanger the lives of more people, so he had the authority and the willingness to sacrifice someone's life based on that call. It's not a good call, mind you. Again, it's not something that you should think, yeah, good job, Dredd. You're supposed to go, oh my god. Like, what? Oh no. And in fairness, the progression of the scene is such that it's clear he only decided to start using his firearm to take out the perps after they killed an innocent person. He was perfectly content to chase them for a while until they hit someone with their van, and then he was like, okay, now I shoot them. It was very robotic. Think you found the studio you'd want to use? I'm curious. I'm very curious. Did you ever see that TIE Fighter music video animation, Dr. Rhino? Because as soon as you said that, that's the animation style I thought of. That late 90s, I guess early 90s, late 80s animation style. Well, no, that's just it, Datron Voltari. The whole point of, in fact, there's famously the image from the one where he's standing in front of the Statue of Justice with his foot grinding the American flag into the dirt, talking about how freedom is a waste of time and liberty means nothing in the face of lawlessness, and how he is perfectly willing to violate the rights of and take away the lives of citizens in the name of just the law of keeping the peace. We're gonna be a little late to the storm report. I'm very close to being done here. They were Puppets War, Dwegham. They might not. I don't know if they still sell those particular heads. I bought them like 6 years ago. Might not have been 6. Might have been 4 or 5. It was a handful of years ago. And again, that's the whole idea of the judges, Automat. The judges are an extreme take on our view of the justice system, where we take all that authority to make those calls and we put that into the hands of just individuals who, in the story, are more often than not corrupt. The judges are not, like you see Judge Dredd and you think, oh, all judges are that way. No! It's pretty much just Joe Dredd. A lot of the other judges are outright criminal. Some of the greatest villains in the comic book are other judges. Admittedly, many of them are quite comedic in their insanity. Like Judge Cal. Or his deputy, what was he? Was he the head of the Department of Justice that Judge Cal appointed? Judge Fish, who was literally a fish in a bowl with a badge on it? Trying to make sure that I don't do these bases in the same way every time. If you just rotate the base, you can get more variety out of it. In a way, Dredd's an admirable man relative to the world he lives in. He might even be a good man if the world allowed for that sort of thing. That's the thing, though. Joe Dredd doesn't seem to give much of a shit. He's a morally ambiguous character because it's hard to tell if he cares or not. But yeah, I think relative to the world that he lives in, like if a judge is going to respond to a crime that you're involved in or anywhere near, you probably want Joe Dredd more than almost anyone else, but you don't really want to deal with judges, period. And, you know, the whole thing is satirical anyway. I'll tell you one thing that 1995 Judge Dredd got fucking right and did a great job on was not just the Angel clan, but Mean Machine Angel in particular. The practical work they did for Mean Machine Angel's costume was awesome. That costume was great. With the fucking dial on his forehead and everything. Because at 4, you know, he gets real ornery. Yeah, the design of Mega City 1 looked great in most of the visual design in 1995 Judge Dredd was pretty good. A lot of the scenes were fun too. 95 Judge Dredd featured a block war, which I note that Carl Urban's didn't, but Carl Urban's was a very compact, tight story. They kind of allude to it because Peach Trees, the Mega Block that they're in, they engage war mode partway into the movie and it seals itself up. What they don't tell you is that war mode, you assume when you hear, oh, it's the war protocol, you think, oh, well, if another country were to attack, the Mega Blocks would armor themselves to prepare for war. And that's a lot of the world building was done kind of in the background or just a clever nod that way. But the war they're talking about is Block War, which is one Mega Block going to war against another Mega Block. That's the war they're talking about. Which is just absurd. Yeah, the CG was, well, it was 1995. I mean, the only good CG was being done by, like, Steven Spielberg and co. And Spielberg had nothing to do with that mess. I will never not laugh, though, at some of Rob Schneider's lines, like when he's hiding in the service droid. Eat recycled food. Recycled food is good for the environment and okay for you. Dredd would fit in well with the cops in Fifth Element. Yeah, they seemed a little less competent, though. Honestly, I thought Sly Stallone would be a fine choice for Judge Dredd. Where he fell short was that his ego demanded that he take his helmet off in the first 5 minutes of the movie. And Carl Urban got that shit perfectly right. He was willing to cover his face for the whole movie, and it paid off. Because that's Dredd's face. You shouldn't see Dredd's face. You shouldn't humanize Dredd because he's barely a person. That horrible grimace underneath the visor with the red X, that is his face. Oh, Arnold would have been a terrible Judge Dredd. That would have been awful. I love Arnold Schwarzenegger, but he would have been a wretched Judge Dredd. When I heard Mega Blocks, I thought it was Mega Constructs like Call of Duty, Destiny, and Halo. They are. Mafik, if you're not familiar with Judge Dredd, Mega Blocks are massive habitation structures in the mega cities. Yeah, even the narrative. It did. It gave him a backstory. It gave him the brother character. It gave them their little shared history. It explained that he was a clone from, like, and it made him the more human of the pair, and he got framed for killing a journalist, and then he got drummed. Like, it was silly. Not entirely Dweghom. The existence of a clone of Judge Dredd named Rico, yes, but that is not how it played out at all. It had elements in common with the official canon, but it was a pretty wild departure thematically and tonally. I did like that they showed the Cursed Earth. That was pretty neat. And like I said, I liked the Angel Clan. I thought they were great. Dweghom, thank you so much for hanging out. You have a great night. The costume was funny with the codpiece. God, the codpiece was so bad. I can't believe they did that. They took away the leather. They put him in, like, spandex. They messed up his helmet, and then they gave him a fucking codpiece. It was... And yeah, exactly, Arcgrave. The movie with Karl Urban is called Dredd. But the movie isn't about Dredd. Like, it kind of is, but it's really the main character, the character that you're supposed to be sort of following and empathizing with, is Judge Anderson. And you're sort of learning about the world and learning about Dredd in the same time that Anderson is. She is a human character, which is ironic because she's a mutant. She's the outsider that everybody in the story hates and distrusts, but she is the most like us. Which I think is part of the message. That you and I would not survive in that world. Not at all. It's alien. Oh, I'm glad that you enjoyed it, Dr. Rhino. That's a fucking great video. That's what I thought of when you mentioned the animation style. It's the first thing that I thought of. I'm so close to done. I have 2 models left to go, and then we're going to do the Storm Report. Yeah, exactly. Oh, well, that's the thing. The Dredd movie with Karl Urban, the 2013 one, was done by people who genuinely loved the source material. Karl Urban himself was a big fan. Apparently, when he was brought in for casting, one of his first stipulations was he was like, I'm not going to take the helmet off, right? They're like, no, you keep it on. He's like, okay, alright, fine. Yeah, no, Karl's a pro. And he loved the source material. Karl's a big fucking nerd, is what he is. I don't know if you've ever watched the Lord of the Rings with the cast commentary, but, like, the cast is always chiming in to talk about stories of things that happened to them and between them when they were working on Lord of the Rings. It's always like, oh, Sean Bean did this funny thing, and oh, we had this joke during this scene and such and such. Every single time that Karl Urban chimes in on that commentary, I'm not, like, I might be exaggerating a bit. These are only the ones that I can remember. Every time that Karl chimes in, it's to point out where the movie differs from the books. Every time. He's like, oh, and of course, you know, my character Eomer wouldn't have been there at this time. He'd be down there fighting with the king. That's what he's supposed to be doing. But you know, Peter thought it was more dramatic to have me riding in with Gandalf very, very dramatically. And you know, we disagreed, but ultimately that's what we did. Like, every single fucking time. It's ridiculous. It's him and Christopher Lee. Everything they have to say is, this isn't what happened in the books. Like, you fucking nerds. I just... I hope that you get an opportunity to, Dr. Rhino. I got to chill with Karl for about a half an hour backstage away from crowds and just, like, bullshit with him while we were waiting for his Q&A to start. And Karl Urban is he's just a dude. Like, I've met a number of celebrities that have been kind of disconnected and weird and in their own world, or like really, really intense, or... Carl's just a guy. He's really, really friendly. He's very casual. He has no problem just shooting the shit. And yeah, he gave me a bunch of funny little details about the movie that you couldn't learn anywhere else. And I was just so excited to talk to him. I think Lee had met Tolkien. I believe that that is true, yeah. On set when he spoke from personal experience about the sound a person makes when they're stabbed in the back. Yeah, he talks about that in the commentary, which is really like, ooh. Yee. Yeah, but it's not a scream. It's not what you think. It's more of a choked sound. It's like, okay, Christopher, that's what we'll do. You fucking psychopath, oh my god. Yeah, that would shut up Peter Jackson pretty quick. We miss you, Christopher Lee. We do. This is the last guy. I just gotta fix his feet. I was going to say I made too many of these bases, and then I realized it's because I also printed them off for my GCPS forces for Firefight. And I was like, oh, never mind. I'm actually still short some. I just have enough for Maelstrom's Edge, that's all. Yeah, he brought a legitimacy to some of those old Hammer films that, like, without him and, like, Peter Cushing and a few of those other actors, those Hammer horror films would have felt as cheesy as the writing actually was. But with the chops of Christopher Lee and what base am I using? This one, and you know, Bela Lugosi and Peter Cushing, they just felt more legitimate, you know. And they were wargamers. Yeah, I've seen some of the pictures. That's pretty cool. I can't even. You say that, C4, and all I can hear is that one song. I shed the blood of the Saxon man. I shed the blood of the Saxon man. Like, oh my God, Christopher, that voice. He's like, what do you need me to do for the song? He'll just repeat, I shed the blood of the Saxon man, like 30 times. It's fine. That's one of the things I've heard too, Stig. I don't know how true it is, but it's the kind of story where I don't care if it's true. I like it. C4 Darkmane, thank you so much for the follow. Welcome to the stream. Welcome to the Storm Chasers. Also, Zanny Phantom followed a bit ago. I don't think I thanked you. I don't think I welcomed you properly. Thank you so much for the follow and welcome in. It was like a half hour ago. I think I was bullshitting about something at the time. Yeah, Dr. Rhino. And that's a fact that you'll never, ever be able to unknow. For those of you who don't know it, in the scene where Peter Cushing was blowing up Alderaan, the boots that they had him wearing as Grand Moff Tarkin were profoundly uncomfortable and hurt the shit out of his feet. So essentially, any scene in the first Star Wars movie where you don't see Peter Cushing's feet, he was wearing fluffy slippers. So in the scene where he's blowing up Alderaan, he's wearing fluffy slippers. I choose to believe that that's canon. that he was like, he ditched the boots the second that he wasn't in front of stormtroopers, and so Leia was in there with him and he had fluffy slippers on. Like I said, you're now going to think about that every single time you watch Star Wars. So, you know, enjoy that. Alright, let's get these extra bases out of the way. Well, the rest of the ones that I need for these guys are the larger scale bases. And I've got those printing right now, and that will be for this Hunter Warmac, and then I need one for my satellite uplink, and then I need some larger bases in the crystal style for my mature angels, but I don't have those ones printed yet. So these will be the last figures that I base for the Karist Enclave. And then these will be the last figures that I base for the Epirian Foundation. And then all I have to do is paint them all. You know, it's just easy. It's no big deal. Alright, let me move my angel minnows back here. I do love that scene. His delivery. And you know that, like, I think it's funny that I don't know, it wasn't, I don't think Peter Cushing had a problem with production, but Alec Guinness famously thought that the Star Wars movies were, like, beneath him. He was, like, you know, coming off of, like, Bridge Over River Kwai and stuff like that, and thinking, this is, I've really, how the mighty have fallen, how I have fallen. I used to do serious movies, and now I'm doing one of these shitty science fiction films. Oh god, I'm so disinterested. I don't think Peter Cushing had that problem, because Peter Cushing had already been doing Hammer films for quite some time. Just scooting everything out of the way here, so I have room. I can't say I'm a fan either, Dr. Rhino. I'm not really a fan of much of Alec Guinness's career, other than Star Wars. I'll just admit to that. There's all the spiders, there's that, got my angels back here. Got these other spiders, let's put these over here. Oh, it was well done. It was well done, Dr. Rhino. In fact, just for you. Just for you. Here, let's give it the fanfare that it really deserves.
I'd buy that for $1.
This has been a productive evening. Even I didn't get quite as much done as I thought that I would, but it has been very pleasant. Let's go ahead and do the Storm Report. I don't think I particularly need to take a break right now. Don't need a bio break. My legs feel fine and I have something to drink, so let's just go ahead and roll on in.
Alright, locusts and gentlemechs, get ready to feast your eyes on glor paint and wet palates with the occasional culinary atrocity thrown in on tonight's Storm Report, brought to you by viewers like you.
You know, C4 Darkmane, I'm more of a Hell in the Pacific kind of guy. Not that the two movies should be compared, because they're completely different, but as far as that era of filmmaking goes, if you give me a choice between Alec Guinness and Lee Marvin, I'm taking Lee Marvin. And, of course, Toshiro Mifune, but that goes without saying. Oh, you know, that's a good choice. Yeah, it was. Yeah, I've heard that as well, Voxel Forge. And again, as I was saying, he was famously contemptuous of Star Wars as he was working on it. I don't know. I wonder sometimes if his opinion would change if he had if he could see what Star Wars became in retrospect, if he could see what how his mannerisms were recreated in Ewan McGregor's performance, or how beloved a character Obi-Wan Kenobi is. But probably not. Based on what I know of him, he'd probably still just be a bitter old shit about everything. It's my understanding, Voxel Forge, he was a garbage man much in the same way that, like, Sean Connery is a garbage man, you know? Where it's like, oh, he's a great actor, yeah, he beats women, but, that was sort of how men were at the time, which is not an excuse, but, in fact, I think it's important to recognize. That was just kind of considered to be okay at the time. Dad was an extra on Shout at the Devil with Lee Marvin and Roger Moore. Moore was up his own ass, but Lee Marvin went drinking with the That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense to me, just based on literally nothing at all. but the impression I get off of their performances, that Moore would be... He famously had some issues when he was doing James Bond, too. Yeah, Lee Marvin seemed like a bro. I want to believe that Lee Marvin would be a bro, because Lee Marvin's the kind of guy I feel like I'd want to get a drink with, And God, I do love his performance in Hell in the Pacific. He was obviously in much more than that, but that movie always stands out to me. That's the man who made Zardoz a cult classic. I think it was much more than just Sean Connery's performance that made Zardoz a cult classic. It might be Sean Connery's physique that made Zardoz a cult classic. Because I don't know that anybody could have weared the brutal enforcer uniform quite like he did. Alright, let's keep going. Well, this is why, Sumitha, this is why I believe very much in the old adage, you should never ever meet your idols. Because then you'll realize that they're human beings, and human beings suck. Here we have up first from Mafik. Arden, where's your mother? Mother Luma asking Arden while holding the children in her arms. She's going to the gym, Arden replied, painting his figures with white-gray paint. Why she's... Oh yeah, it's Friday. The BV Broken Void Goddess used to be the kind and careful being, but time passed and things have changed throughout her life ever since she was thrown into the Broken Void. Now, she's a goddess known to have fun, spending the whole day at the gym with other maidens and high generals / high lords. I will never get over the just fever dream insanity that is Mafik's universe he has built with this art. And I hope that you take that in the best way possible, Mafik. Oh my god, did it! How about them 21 months, Kursala? Thank you so much for the support. Plus, they called her the Goddess of Fitness. Insta-goddess. Oh, she has a fight club with the other void brutes in the barracks while Arden is on night shift in the other dimensions. Run out of ideas, and I'm not being a hardy artist drawing like this. Run out of ideas, so we're just going for this. We're just taking characters and we're putting them in Instagram fitness model costumes at this point. Friday Fitness. Going for the just straight deadlifting 300.5 tons. I love the decimal places on this. Why is it 2,500.1 tons? I don't know. I don't know. But it just is. It just is. Often going to the gym on Friday. And by the way, a booba. In case we forget. In case we forget. I'm just glad to see you arting, Mafik. I'm glad to see you putting, like, just putting your ideas down on paper, man. Those artist blocks absolutely suck. Oh, here we have from Ren Momo, Rebels. E, Stormtroopers next. E, Stormtroopers? What kind of kind of Stormtroopers? What does the E stand for? This is actually a really nice paint job. Damn good job getting that vivid electric blue on the Duros Rebel back here. Just E. Oh, E. No, I remember. Okay, yeah, no, I got you. Brosnan Best Bond. Ooh, that is a bold and difficult to argue claim, Cephalopod Studios. I would accept that with a caveat. Brosnan in GoldenEye, Best Bond. I would accept that. Rebels. Okay, I'm with you, Red. Okay. Totally didn't use contrast paint. Yeah, I mean, first of all, yes. And secondly, nothing. Never feel bad for using contrast paint. It's an incredibly effective way to paint. These came out great, by the way. I think you very, very smartly, whether it be by accident or on purpose, just went with a two-tone temperature contrast. Cool, warm, cool, warm, cool, warm. Nice metallics you have on the weapons. They really stand out. And like I said, great job on the electric blue on the Duros. Those are some good-looking Rebels. I've seen a lot of models that you've painted at this point, Ren Momo. These are showing good choices being made and a cleaner and thinner application of paint than you were using when I first started seeing your work, not necessarily when you got started. I'm sure Brosnan is a jerk, but I don't pay to see his movies to be his friend, you know, and I'm kind of excited for him to be playing Dr. Fate. I'm into that. The green on the base is for unit cohesion. I figured that might be like green squad, blue squad, red squad. I did similarly when I was playing Rebels. Here we have Star Wars Legion in general, actually. Oh, you threw me for a second there, Voxel Forge, because I saw Brosnan is a jerk and he is Prince Baron, and I was like, that was Timothy Dalton. What are you talking about? Then I saw the other comment in there. Timothy Dalton is fucking awesome. I've heard nothing but good things about Timothy Dalton, and he's so good in Doom Patrol. Did I lull you, Chaotic? Do you need a chaotic lullaby? Go to sleep, harmony. Go to sleep, chaotic. I don't know any fucking lullabies. I would love to say something funny here, but I'm just not witty enough. Here we have from Happy Heretic, my latest Dirty Drac. Went hard on the OSL on this one. Seems to me I have a knack for painting mechs that is equal to my knack for Nurgle. I'm loving it. I'm loving the blue. This is great. The use of the intense blue as the focal point, and this model is so built around this being the focal point, but it's just like, whoomp, the eye gets drawn right in here. That is gorgeous, and I love the little bits that you have on the ends of the weapons too. Fan-fucking-tastic. I really like the simple grit and simple paint job that you have on the base too. It does not dry the awe. Does not draw the awe. This is the point of the stream where my ability to speak collapses in on itself entirely. It does not draw the eye too much. It just complements the paint job, and you have the nice sort of. It's almost like if we're looking at this from afar and just sort of blocking out the colors. There's this cool line just breaking the mini almost right in half here, and it's very, very pleasing. Gorgeous. Gorgeous. It's a good one, Sumitha. I'm okay with that. How was someone both a prince and a baron? His name was Baron WJ. That may be my favorite line in that entire movie is Flash Gordon reaching into the stinger stump, and he pretends to get stung. And he's like, "Oh, I will kill you now, for the death that you will suffer is far beyond imagining." And he waits for Timothy Dalton to come up to him and kill him, and he just pushes him. He just pushes him, and he goes, "Tricked you, Baron!" That's his whole ruse, is wait for him to get close and then push him. It's the dumbest ruse. It shouldn't work. Of course, most things in that movie shouldn't work. He also defeats the elite guard of an intergalactic warlord by playing football. So, maybe I shouldn't criticize too much. So to take a break from my main painting project at the moment, I decided to do up my Metalcore Collectibles Reckoning Mini as a display piece and study of highlighting. The problem, I'm not sure what the main color should be of the piece. I'm thinking of doing the mech in a forest green with sky blue highlights, the APC in a sandy tan scheme with some burn marks, and the concrete pavers under them in a light gray tone, but I keep second guessing myself. Any suggestions? Only restriction is that I've painted a lot of red lately and want to avoid that as the main color. POV? That all sounds good to me. Honestly, none of that sounds bad to me. Green, tan, cool gray. Should go cool, warm, cool. I think that would actually work pretty well. POV, I think that you should just trust your instincts on this. You've got a good idea, roll with it. I think there's nothing about that color combination stands out to me as problematic. I think it's all going to contrast well, particularly if you go with kind of a warm, ruddy tan for the APC, because then you'll have a nice cool blue, you'll have this little separation of kind of a warm tan, and then you'll go right into sort of a coolish forest green. It's a gorgeous print. The Reckoning is such a damn good looking mech. Somebody put exclamation point metalcore in chat. Folks, if you're looking at this model thinking, that's really cool and I like mech games, do yourself a favor. Head on over to Metalcore Collectibles and just check out his catalog. I'm not saying go buy things. I'm not giving you a code. I don't have any codes for you. I'm not getting any references. I'm telling you, just go take a look at what he's got on offer because they're amazing. Sumatha, shut up. Maybe it is, but it doesn't matter. This mini is so posable that his pelvis is on backwards. I wouldn't have even noticed if you hadn't said anything. I don't think anybody would have. Now POV is going to be the one who is like, who's going to get neurotic about it. Oh no. Oh no. It's such a cool looking mech. Oh my god. Really cool posing work on this. I like the APC underfoot like that. I think that color scheme is going to come together greatly. I think what's going to matter is your color choice for the cockpit. If you're doing green and you're doing like tan down here, can I suggest echoing the color you choose for the APC in the cockpit glass? So that you've got two instances of it on the model. I think that is going to work well for you. So maybe like a gold, like a kind of a ruddy gold. I'm into it. I can't wait to see what you do, POV. Here we have from Whirlin97, the Desert Owl. Here is the Copper Battlemaster. Not quite get the pictures formatted in time for Sunday, so here it is today. The wash on this one seems to have tried to repaint the entire mech, but it is an interesting effect. So, when a wash colors the entire paint job, first of all, we pretend we did it on purpose, and secondly, we call it a filter, or a glaze. What would be the functional difference between a glaze and a filter? I think that glaze is just more specific nomenclature for model painting, whereas filter is more of a generally artistic description for what a glaze does. I think I'm right about that. I don't think there's any functional difference other than that. Like that side front, the other's just flat, as long as you made that decision on purpose. On purpose, POV. Yeah, this looks really nice. That copper came out great. Nice and warm. I love the little splashes of blue. The only critique, I'm going to give you one critique. I'm going to give you one critique on this paint job. Because it looks great. The cockpit. Gold against copper? I almost couldn't see where it was. It really kind of blends into everything else. So the only change that I would make, filter is just a photography term being used on shading layers. Yeah, okay. It is a broader piece of nomenclature that describes the effect of a glaze on the color for the model than Lucky Omen. I think would be the most accurate way of putting it. Green. I know you've got some green here. Maybe red. No, not red. Not red. Not blue necessarily. We've got blue in the PPC. Something here, though. I want green because of the copper. I want green or blue. You could use either of those. That's the copper straight for the cockpit, same as all the other Battlemasters. Okay. If you've got a reason for choosing that color, far be it from me to second guess that reason. I only make those critiques in case it's like you weren't really sure what else to do, so you just threw it on and you weren't really happy with it. I can give another suggestion, but if you're doing it on purpose, please carry on, because I'm digging the kind of dirty copper you got going on here. Really nice job on the PPC glow effect, too. That looks great. I'm digging all the metallic work that you're doing lately, man. As long as someone understands what you mean, it's all in the green. That is the funny thing about language, isn't it, Lucky Omen? If I can say it and you know what I'm talking about, technically. I like to remind people when they get too pedantic about definitions, not that anybody is, that's not the point of what I'm saying. I like to remind people, though, that definition follows usage and not the other way around. If you say the wrong word enough times so everybody knows what you mean, eventually that just becomes the word for the thing. Absolutely, Desert Owl. I'm always happy to critique things when I'm not asked to do so. Here we have from Chaotic Harmony, birthday present. Oh shit, that's right. Yeah, I remember this. Birthday present painted. Enemies of the Enclave, beware. Well, this just makes me want to go cow tipping. This is a pretty cool terrain piece. I like the clear blue acrylic energy barrier there. That's pretty fancy. You got some cowfolk terrain that matches with your fancy combat cowfolk. I like it. Nicely done, Chaotic. I think that the color scheme you went with, too, works so well with that blue, because there isn't blue like anywhere else, so it really stands out in this piece. Don't deny me my pedantry, it's all I have. Oh, God. I believe the phrase is that pedantry is the last refuge of the well-formed argument and hyper-intelligent mind. I think that's what they say. It's something like that. It's something like that. Flashy indeed. Is that did you do that logo by hand? Chaotic Harmony. It's only when I look, I want to say I can tell that it's hand done, but only when I looked closely at it. At a glance, I assumed decal. When I look closely at it, I can see little touches here and there. I'm like, it looks like he did that by hand. But it didn't jump out at me. So I'm going to say, well, damn done. And I think doing it by hand also let you color match your off-white beautifully, because normally a decal would probably be more of a pure white, or it'd be something that you would have to tint. Well done. Very well done, and happy fucking birthday, Chaotic. When was your birthday? Did we not wish you a happy birthday? Did I just miss it entirely? I feel terrible. I'm such a bad person. Oh my god. Here we have from Squared, finishing up basing and varnishing the Warrior House Imara longbow, and these are the final steps. And you have been using, if I'm not mistaken, the Rainy River Designs Arid Legion paint set, which, by the way, y'all should go ahead and hit ! Rainy River in chat to get a link over to Rainy River Designs, where you can find their amazing basing materials, models, acrylic paints, so much cool stuff, and among them, paint sets, like the one that was used here. This is the Arid Legion paint set. It really goes together well. If you're not using this, Kursala, you should see if he would mind you using this image as a demonstration of how the paint set can come together. I love the vivid, almost like livery green you have for the lasers. This is a good way of making this stand out from your more muted green that you have on the hull, because this is almost yellow, and it reads very, very nicely. Good looking longbow. Well done, Squared. Your birthday's the 25th? Man, we got a bunch of birthdays, like, right in a tight little space there. Because both Riot Sister and my birthday is shortly after that. And, oh god, Riot Sister, who else's birthday is right around the same time? Matt Yee's birthday is right around the same time as ours. It's going to be the birthday week, apparently. Here we have from Wheezy. Pretty happy with my Black Knight in service to the new Belt Pirates. Just a bit of cleanup and then basing, I think. I'm considering a Red Dust Mars-style base, but I'm not sure. What do you think? Let's first use a harsh light for the photo. I'll take a better one after I'm finished. I think gloss on the lenses is still wet. They should be clear when dry. Nice spatter effect on this guy. This came out good, and it looks like you went ahead and went in and picked out the heavier stars and did the little glare thing, like I was talking about. That worked out well. This is the kind of painting technique where I'm going to say you should continue to do, and it sounds like you're going to, you should continue to do more in this scheme, because I think as you do more, you'll kind of refine it and figure out how you like to do it. You'll figure out little tricks. One of the tricks you can do that I would recommend, and you've kind of done it on here a little bit, the pattern is random, but like leaving areas where there's less of a concentration really helps the rest of it stand out. And you've done that a few places here, like here on his leg. There are fewer stars. Kind of up here on the shoulder, it gets a little more sparse, but leaving some areas almost without stars helps you see the rest of them even more. I love the bright sparkly ones that you've picked out. That worked out really nicely. Over the kind of color shift metal, that's just gorgeous. So for basing, Mars Red would probably work. The mech is very dark, and I feel like almost like really, really bright basing would actually kind of work well. So I'm thinking more of like a sandy desert, you know, like a really, really high, bright, tan, sandy desert would actually work really well just to contrast the paint job and make the rest of the mini stand out. Yeah, like a high, bright, sandy color. I think that Mars Red would be good. If you're going to do Mars Red, though, I would lean into like a high orange. Now, we know today, from the photographs that we have of the Martian surface, we know that Mars is not really that red. It's more of a brown, but it has a lot of iron oxide. And we know that when light reflects off of it, it shows up as really, really red. But if you're on the surface, it doesn't necessarily look like that. So if you have a choice between realistic Martian and how we thought Mars looked 20, 30 years ago, I would go with the original Martian when it was like really red. It's not actually what Mars looks like, but it's not really on Mars, is it? So I would lean into that orange, if that's what you're gonna do. The other suggestion I would have is, as Cookie Mama says, like just a high tan, sandy desert. I think that would contrast really well with a lot of the cool colors you have going on here, and how dark the mech is overall. Like, echo this. Like, you see how kind of yellow tan you have here on the visor? Echo that down here. So that you've got, boom, boom, 2 points, feet and head, with a very similar color. That's just gonna read really well. This is a gorgeous paint job, though, and really good job on the lensing. I love the galaxy effect you're working on, and as I said, and I'm gonna say it one more time, do more mechs like this, and continue to practice and work on the technique, because once you've done your like 7th or 8th paint job like this, you're gonna have figured out some tips and some tricks entirely on your own, and you're really, really gonna love how much you progress in just that few. A little on those tiny bits in the middle too. Also has that same value, if not hue. Yeah, I can see that. Lovely, lovely work. Alright. Here we have from Sphere. Few things I added afterwards, smoothed out the reds, added some tufts to the base and things here, but it's 95% done, I'd say. Calling it quits, at least for now. You know, something I've said, first of all, the weathering looks great. I really like that. Oh, the red is nice and vivid. Sometimes, a mini isn't finished. But I'm finished working on it, if that makes sense. The mini's not done, but I am. I think it's important in those moments to give yourself that break. Don't try to force it. Don't try to force it, folks. Unless you're a commercial artist on a deadline, you have no reason to try to force creativity like it's a job. Unless it literally is a job. And most of us, I don't think, function well when we're trying to force it. So if you don't have the inspiration, or if you're tired of working on it, give yourself a break. Because I'll tell you what, if you give yourself a break now, and this might not apply to this situation, it's just some general advice that this made me think of. If you're not feeling a mini, if you're not feeling a paint job, if you're like, God, I'm tired of working on this. If you force yourself to go through with it, if you just force yourself to keep working on it, it's not going to come out as good as when you're working on it inspired. And if you give yourself that break, if you give yourself that time, you give yourself that breather, that inspiration is going to come back much faster. Much faster. And when it hits, you're going to enjoy doing it again. And you should always enjoy it. You should always enjoy the paint jobs that you're doing. If you're not having fun, honestly, stop for a while. Take a break. Do something else. Grab that mini that you forgot about, that you are inspired to work on, or that maybe you don't care that much about. You just want to do something experimental on. Grab that mini and work on that for a little while. Just work on what's fun. And again, I think it's just general advice for the most part. What about Lunar Regolith? Automat, yeah, that would actually be pretty cool. As far as, yeah, we were talking about here, Regolith would be nice. Again, I want it to be warm, though, just because of the visor color, because I think echoing the two colors here is just, it's kind of important for composition and balance. Severe, this is lovely work. And yeah, like, you could just call this done. Look at the goopy, like, 1980s blood. This is like George Romero, early Tom Savini looking blood. I love it. And the nasty goopy drool hanging off the little tongue. Gorgeous. Gorgeous work, Severe. Here we have from Furion. My take on yellow came off a bit more orange than I intended. I swear the camera made it even more so. Furion, I'm going to tell you right now, as I tell people over and over, taking pictures of minis is as hard or harder than painting them in the first place, so don't feel bad. It takes a lot of practice, and it takes learning camera settings, which I'm always happy to give what advice I can. But overall, I'm quite happy with it. India yellow ink over white, pink, magenta, zenithal undercoat. What could I do better? No, this is good. This is good. If the camera's making it look more orange than it is, I'm going to say you did a fucking fantastic job. This mini looks great, particularly for what it sounds like, how little, I don't want to say how little work, how little effort, that's not accurate, how little labor went into this paint job. Work smarter, not harder, and you worked smarter. This came out great. Yellow India ink over a zenithal job with that. Yeah, see, that's just it. That pink, that magenta that you put down, it gives it this richness in the shadows. Look at that. Isn't that hot? Don't worry about, like, this does look orange, but this is a shadow. This is the color. This is what your eye reads as. When I look at this, my brain says, this is the color across the whole mech. It doesn't say, oh, this is orange. It says, this is yellow in shadow. This reads beautifully. And your use of the cool gray on the vents, on the jump jets here, on the backs of the legs, and the joints, and the elbows, and the shoulders, like, this is beautiful. This is wonderfully done. This just helps to take what would be a big splotch of color and break it up into visually digestible pieces. This paint job is gorgeous. Yeah, I agree, Azri. The red, the little bits of red, you know, up here and whatnot, it saves it. Definitely saves it. And in the undershading as well. I think that if you went more yellow than this, you would find it almost too yellow. Your highlights are wonderful, by the way. They're reserved. And this is a pretty good example of how reserved you can be with your highlights and still have them look good. We have this tendency as mini painters to want to put them everywhere. Just highlight every goddamn edge, every single surface. Do the heavy metal thing. But reserved highlights for a few spots that really... Because you notice how these highlights pick out the main shapes. They pick out this U shape here, these harsh V's. They let this fall into shadow. They grab the shape of the shoulders sloping down from the head and the little mohawk. Like, this is a lovely paint job. This is a lovely paint job, Furion. And like I said, work smarter, not harder. It sounds like that's exactly what you're doing. I love this. Could you do things better on this? There are things you could do better. But if I'm being honest, I'm going to pick one thing that I would do differently, because I want you to love this paint job, because this is gorgeous. It's absolutely gorgeous. The one thing I might do is take this gray and put it on the weapon barrel and on the wrist joint. Like, that's it. That's maybe the one thing I would do. This is lovely. You could maybe punch up the cockpit glass a little bit. It'd be tricky because this is very, 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 very small. But a color like a green here would look really nice. Like a bright, vivid green would look really, really good. That's what I got. That's what I got. That's a gorgeous paint job, and you should be proud of it. Here we have from Roland. Oh yeah, getting them smooth layers down. Loving the look of the washes that you got going on here, man. You can see, particularly over the metallic parts, you're applying them really well. It's getting in those crevices. Missed a little bit here, but that's not a big deal. You can go in and pin wash that. But like right here, the arm of the bushwhacker, down here on the missile launcher, it does a really good job of picking out those panel lines. And you can see how this is the importance of a nice, clean, smooth base coat, Roland. And this is why I keep focusing on this as what you've been improving on. Because getting a good, clean, smooth base coat is what makes the washes work. It prevents them from pooling in odd places. That's a good question. What did happen to the light box? You're not using it anymore. I like the light box. We've returned to the days of being photographed on Dr. Pepper and Mountain Dew cans. The panel lining is really where you're improving here, man. You see how much of a difference it makes just having that visual distinction between the various levels and shapes on the model. And I love how it's gathered a little bit here to give that little bit of shading to the arm plate. Lovely work, Roland. Here we have from Magnatorius Maximus, also known as Cyber Knight or Metal Core Collectibles. Well, it took longer than I would have liked. Here is the Ruffian defense tank. Oh, the Ruffian. Look at this. Look at this magnetized madman. This is such a good design. I like the kind of coppery tone that you have to the treads, too. It works. It blends a little bit into the mat that it's on, but if you put this on a green mat, I feel like it would stand out all the better. It's a good contrast with the cool tones of the hull, because so much of the model is cold. Nice bright green and yellow spots really help with that. Love the orange on the side of the laser turret there by the LRMs. Thank you so much for doing that, by the way, Sumith. Guys, definitely go check out Metal Core Collectibles. These are going to be the new, if I'm not mistaken, the Ruffian and the... What's the other one called? Vagabond. No, that's not it. It's something like that, though. Can't remember the name of the other one. Either way, these are going to be the new free STLs, are they not? I've said that a few times, but I realize I never actually asked. Either way, Metalcore is soon going to have sample STLs for your printing pleasure. And some more STLs for sale. That catalog is one you're going to want to keep an eye on. Hermit, thank you. Yeah, Vagabond, Hermit, what's the difference? I mean, a huge difference, both thematically and factually. Earlier, I was telling Tiny Hands about helicopters and VTOLs and how they work. She asked if we could make one, so I loaded up a bunch of examples, and she wanted to base it off of the Gossamer that Smite made on the left. It took a little over an hour to get to this point. I'm comfortable saying the base model is about 70 to 80% finished. Also, she said she wants a bunch of them to go in her Tornado Cheese Mercenary Company. Tornado Cheese. I'm endlessly amused by this. As someone who's been recently replaying Command & Conquer Tiberian Sun, I've got to tell you, I look at this and you know what I see is an Orca Bomber. I realize that the Orca Fighter and the Orca Bomber had two big old turbofans for their VTOL, and that this is just one single central one, but that's just what my brain is doing right now. Fear the Cheese Cutter, there you go. Call it the Cheese Cutter. I can dig it. I tend to agree, negative charisma. Datron asking the important questions, is it a tornado made of cheese? Or cheese made from compressed tornadoes? Inquiring minds want to know. Oh, I'm getting along. How you doing, that guy? Yeah, I don't know why. I don't understand. I don't understand a lot of what Electronic Arts was thinking when they started making sequels to Command & Conquer. One of the most bizarre individual examples that come to mind, though, negative charisma, is why would you replace the disc throwers with grenadiers? Why would you do that? The disc throwers were interesting, and the way that their discs worked in the game, how you could target a piece of ground and they would throw the discs and the discs would skip off the ground. You could skip them into targets that were out of their range if you were clever. Or you could just create like a wall of explosions by targeting a bunch of discs, just bombard an area. And the way they interacted with terrain, like you could bounce them off of angled, like raised bits, and they would bounce in funny directions or even straight up. Like, why would you take something as cool and iconic as the explosive disc thrower and make it some boring fucking grenadier? Now, I realize that this is perhaps the least of the questions we should ultimately be asking about why Electronic Arts decided to just completely destroy Command & Conquer. But that one in particular is like, you could have had them do exactly the same thing as the Grenadiers do in CNC3 and just kept them as disc throwers. I don't get it. I don't get it at all. Pretty good. Majar Aznabal, thank you so much for asking. See, the first Command & Conquer, the Tiberian Dawn, I guess it's called in retrospect, that was one of my first PC games, and I remember the ad at the end of it, the cutscene that was like, Command & Conquer Tiberian Sun, coming soon, and like, years went by before that actually came out. Very cool design, Chris Sala. I look forward to seeing the front end getting finished. This is neat and unique. It's got some very, very strong shapes to it. I think it's going to print really well, and I'm going to have to see more of this tornado cheese. Here we have from Mr. Altier, first layers of paint down, plenty of work still left to do. From painting the details to trying to figure out where the hell to put the iconic logs on the side. Thoughts always welcome. P.S. Ignore messy workplace. Messy workplaces are workplaces in which work is taking place. Let me tell you something, Altier. I don't trust clean desks. I don't trust them at all. When you post a picture of your desk and it's perfectly clean, you know what I think? I think you took all the clutter and bullshit and you just shoved it out of the frame of the picture. That's what I think every time I see it. I think this person is lying to me. They straightened up right before they took the shot. Now, I understand. I sympathize. I do the same thing. But on some level, I don't trust it. A messy workplace is a workplace in which you are doing work. Also, that's not messy, so shut up. This is barely. This is like there's 1 or 2 brushes lying around out of place. I'm not gonna show you what my desk looks like when I'm actually working on it. Any more than the little frame of it that I give you from this camera here. This very carefully controlled view that you get. This carefully curated view. Of course, look at this madman. Sub-assembly painting all the parts of a Lehman Russ. Oh my god. Oh. But based on your previous work, Altier, it's going to be worth the time, the effort, and the wait. I'm excited to see it, man. Here we have from the Amish Stig, why kit bash minis when you can kit bash printers? Oh god. Once the Zappa gap dries, I can clean up the wiring loom, re-level it, start a test print. But, short of being shown evidence of someone having done it first, I'm now laying claim to having the world's first Ender 5 Max. It's alive. I think the new Z offset is finally where it needs to be, and in about an hour I should have the first test print. Tuning is so far off it's a painful glorby mess, but that's nothing a few days of obsessively messing with it can't fix. Here's to hoping once it's dialed in, it solves some of my droopy overhangs from across the fans issue due to having fans on both sides of the nozzle now. That's the DIYer's creed, you know, why buy something pre-made when I can make it myself for twice the price and a great deal more time. I can appreciate that though. I can respect it, Amish Stig. I love the Frankensteinian mess of wires we have up here. The BL touch that's just kind of stuck on the outside. That's just a delight. I'm looking forward to seeing the first print off it when you get it all calibrated, man. Here we have from Azri. May not be awake when you get to this, as I have a 6:30 flight to Adepticon. Godspeed, noble gamer. Had only 2 days to source, build, and paint this. Needs a lot more work, but it's good enough for now. Remember, folks, and this is something that is important to remember, you can always come back to a model. If you get it to a point where it's playable, but you want to do more details on it, take a break. Step away. Play with it. Use it. Toss some varnish on it, put it on the table. If as you're playing with it, you're thinking, God, I wish I'd done that one detail, go back and do it. You can always add more paint. You can always add more paint. These are the legs from the Adeptus Mechanicus Iron Striders, right? And then this is one of the bodies from the whatchamacallits, the steampunk dwarves from Age of Sigmar. This is pretty cool. I appreciate the way you've balanced it with the legs as far forward as they are, since most of the bulk of this ship is right up here. So like the center of gravity on this thing would probably be right about here. If we're assuming that these are mostly light components and that like the engine and everything is up here in the fore, because we got like a cannon and whatnot, I'm going to assume the ammunition, which would be pretty dense, is also stored up here in the fore. So like I look at this and the engineering part of my brain says that could work. That could work. That's plausible enough for me to suspend my disbelief in honor of the rule of cool. An Iron Strider gun hauler and an Empire Hurricanum. We're calling it Baba Bugman's Hollercanum. Oh my god. Get some action shots, Azri. Get some action shots. I want to see them. Here we have from Automat Americana. So the first time I ever had anything to do with Thunderhead was when I was just starting to mess with Tinkercad and Battletech. It was literally just to ask him if I could use an asset he had on Thingiverse and modifying a cicada model I was playing with. Well, my Mad 5L proved to me I can do whole mechs at this point, so it's time to do that same mech, but to do it properly from the ground up and with my own assets. So yeah, I guess we'll see how this turns out. I love that. I love that. I'm always happy to let people use, particularly my free assets. Like, I always appreciate people asking, but yes, do feel free. That has led you on the path where now you're doing all of your own stuff. That's fucking great, man. That's great. Also, look at that big bad son of a bitch there. I like cicadas. I've always just liked the way that their bodies are built and their sort of ratio of torso to leg. I like how these technically count as arms, even though they're pretty much just weapon pods. Which version is this? We got PPC here, and then what are these, LRM-10s on each side? I'm not familiar with this variant of the cicada. I'm not familiar with many variants of the cicada, though, to be fair. Tickles my cold, dead heart. Terrible on paper, but cicadas are neat mechs aesthetically. I mean, you know that I'm a fan of the underdog, Sumatha. My favorite mech is the Shadowhawk, for God's sake. Like, I ain't no min-maxer. Lovely work, Automat, and as always, I look forward to seeing that come along and get printed. Here we have from POW Rogue. Okay, finally, I am done. I think after this, I'll give him a party of evil compatriots. Any ideas? This pose does make more sense with weapons. Because yeah, with particularly this hand, I had no idea what he was doing with it, but okay, he has like a punch blade, so he's holding it kind of at a downward angle there. Nasty little curved gutting blade over here. Who would an Illithid be allied with? And my favorite allies, or I guess not allies, but, you know, creatures that sort of swim in the wake of Illithids are always like aboleths, but aboleths are basically just big fish for the most part, so I don't know how you would do that. Maybe some slods. Maybe like a slod barbarian thrall, right? That could be cool. A big, like, frogman with, like, a fucking axe or something like that. Maybe with, like a magical collar or, like, a mind-controlling crown on him. Because Illithids, I could see Illithids enslaving slods. That'd be reasonable enough. Plus, I think that would be a fun thing to sculpt. I like how Riot Sister, being Queen of the Mushroom People, just goes straight to Myconids. They hate Illithids, don't they? It has been a long time since I've read a monster manual, so with a grain of salt, I thought that aboleths often lived in the same areas as Illithids. They don't get along, but they have like a symbiotic relationship, or am I completely misremembering that? Maybe they kill each other, and I just completely forgot about that. Yeah, Illithids hate everybody, and they also hate other Illithids, so it's like, yeah. Koatoa, I could see that. Yeah, the side view definitely helps with this. It's a very, very cool sculpt. I love the armor. I like all the stress folds that you have in the fabric, particularly like the overall design of the Illithid's head. I'm not it was changed. Okay, because I'm thinking of like Monster Manual 3rd edition 3.5. That's where I remember that aboleths and Illithids had a slightly symbiotic relationship. Like, Illithids would often use aboleths to guard their lairs. Not that aboleths were mindless, just that it was mutually beneficial. Aboleths are obviously intelligent. I'm gonna say Slod. And I do like the Myconid idea, like some kind of big dumb mushroom brute. That could be cool. Illithids could eat the brain and have oozes devour the body. Symbiotic relationship. Underground is gross. In Dungeons and Dragons, everything that lives below the ground is terrible. Gorgeous sculpt, and I can't wait to see that getting printed out at some point. Also, this is a mind knife type. Okay, so more warrior based. Well, then he might have like a caster thrall. Slods come in a lot of different varieties, though, and for some reason I'm picturing like some big, brutish, heavy slod. I don't remember which ones were of which body types, but I remember based on the color, they were different. Here we have from Gear Falcon. I'm trying to make him into a weathered robot that would be in Europe during World War II. Now this is this Dust, or is this Conflict 47? I want to say this is Conflict 47, but I can't say for sure. Does anybody know? First of all, Dust is really hard to find now. Conflict 47 is still being sold by Warlord Games. But I feel like this design is Conflict. I'm going to wind up having to look this up. This is Conflict 47? Okay. Conflict 47 is a game that I have no explanation as to why I've never played it. I love the idea behind it. I love the aesthetic of it. I love that it runs off of the bolt action core rule system because I quite enjoy playing Beyond the Gates of Antares as well. but I've never played it. I've almost bought starter sets for it on a number of occasions, but it's just never happened. And I don't have like a good reason for it. There's just always something else going on. I don't know. I always love seeing the models get painted. I like the kind of rusty effects you've got going on too. All in all, the base coat is coming out real well. This would be a good chance, Gear Falcon. You just like the paint. Yeah, I understand that. This would be a good model if you felt like getting into it. This model would love oil washes and oil weathering. This style of figure is like made for using oil washes and oil weathering on. And all you would need is maybe like 2 tubes of paint. Get yourself some ivory black. Get yourself like maybe some Terra Rosa or some Van Dyke Brown, and get yourself some odorless mineral spirits. And that is all you need. That and maybe a couple of like sponges or Q-tips. That would be all you need to try that out. And I mean, even if you stopped the paint job right here and then went in and did like oil washes in the crevices and maybe drooled some Terra Rosa or some Van Dyke Brown, kind of really watered down like in greasy smears, it would look really good. It would look really good. You have all that already? Never mind. Do that then. Don't listen to me. I don't remember what people have. I look forward to seeing a finished Gear Falcon. You've never played a war game, really? Is there? Are you just not interested in it, or has it just like never? Because it takes work to go out and sit down with somebody. You arrange the game. You have to go to the store or set up a table. Like it's a bunch of shit. Does it just not interest you? I'm just curious. I totally understand. Like, even as someone who loves the games, I spend way more time fucking with and painting the models than I do actually rolling dice. Here we're having Negative Charisma finally started to actually make the switch from Maya to Blender. The modeling tools are way more advanced. Blender has grown a lot in just the last 2 years. Nobody wants to play with me. Oh. Really? Do you just not have much of a scene in your town, Gear Falcon? That's surprising. There are definitely places where it's harder to find games than others, though. Yeah, Blender has been growing quite a lot. I feel like in the next few years, I'm going to have a moment when I genuinely regret dumping so much learning and time into ZBrush and not putting that time into Blender. I'm going to call right now that I'm going to regret that, but I'm kind of already doing it. I'm a little bit stuck with it. This came out nicely, though. I think you're going to like it. I think you're going to like switching to Blender. It's just so... The open source nature of it is a massive boon. And maybe by the time I regret not learning Blender, because they've already improved the UI hugely. So maybe by the time I regret not learning it, it will be really easy to transition over into from ZBrush. I just like all the features that ZBrush has that make my life so much easier. Yeah, I like not having to learn Blender. But again, they keep making it easier. Gorgeous, smooth, crisp sculpt. Negative Charisma. And thank you. Thank you so much for sharing your work with us. But that will bring us to the end of the Storm Report. And in case you're not aware, the end of tonight's stream. Oh, let me see if I can't find somebody doing some painting. Doodly doot doot doot. Gotta be somebody out there, right? Admittedly, it might be kind of hard to find raid targets for the next week or so, because a whole lot of people are gonna be at Adepticon, but it looks like Wombat Combat Prime is going, Goblin Welder is going, Sea Fox Paints and Commander Mittens are all going. So I'm looking at Wombat Combat or Goblin Welder. Let me just have a quick look to see what folk are doing here. Goblin Welder has been going for a little while, and he is working on some dwarfs. Wombat Combat has been going little bit shorter. I think he's going to be going for a little while. It looks like Wombat Combat. Birthday Brooding. Is it his birthday too? Is everyone's birthday around this time? That's insane. Let's raid him. Let's do that. That seems like a plan, huh? Now I know many of you are probably getting ready to turn in, because we tend to stream pretty late here. But if you feel like doing me a favor, stick around for just a minute. Go with the raid, check out the stream, consider dropping a follow if you like what you see. Remember, folks, follows are free. Let's get that started. It looks like he's doing some building of some Gene Stealers? Yeah. So that is very, very much on theme for us for tonight. So let's get that started, folks. We will be back Thursday the 24th. We'll be right here doing some work in ZBrush. I'm gonna be making bases. It's not gonna be all that exciting, but it's just, again, it's work that needs doing. So if you feel like hanging out while I do it, you're more than welcome to do so. Bella, you in particular, if you want to see me fumble through the ZBrush environment, you're so much better at it than I am. It's ridiculous. Bella Noct, how are you doing? It's so wonderful to see you, even if it is right at the end. Even that little bit of Bella just makes my whole night so much better. We will... So, it looks like Sunday is going to be no stream. The anniversary is happening right about then. If that changes, I'll let you guys know ahead of time. But it looks like we're going to miss Sunday, and then we'll be back Tuesday the 29th with more painting. We're going to be getting started painting these figures that I was basing here tonight, probably with the Carists. So that should be a good time. Thank you guys so much for joining me tonight. I really, this has been a fantastic night. I got a lot done. We had some good bullshitty conversations. This is really all I want out of my hobby time anyway. A huge thank you, as always, to my amazing mod team who make all of this possible, and to everyone who contributed to the Storm Report. I've got to go get something to eat, so until next time, keep on painting.